fiery depths of the Sonoran wasteland and the black heart of a post-apocalyptic culture war.
You believe in Jesus? Well, you're gonna meet him.
An audio-visual assault canceled on continents you've never heard of.
The disease, not the cure.
When the wokesters whine, the Bolsheviks bray.
Bleeding heart liberals, time to dispense some justice.
The RazörForce offensive opens fire.
Assimilate this.
Live from the front lines of the offensive, Razor Fist.
Welcome to the Counterculture Counterattack. Welcome to the RazörForce Offensive. I am your intrepid host, Submarine Commander Fist, alongside the submarine sandwich, Terran Gell. How the hell are you, sir?
Turn your key, sir.
Yes! Yes! I knew you'd dig out a killer reference. It's the show where we backhand the Bolshies and purge the Spergs, and it starts right now. It is the least surprising development since Movie Blob's diabetes diagnosis, but it turns out the Sperg-Right is funded by the Sperg left. When you heard this story, Terran Gell, how hard were your nipples?
Almost to diamond cutting ability. I could almost cut glass.
You almost performed a diamond cutter. Was it a normal diamond cutter or one of those top rope Randy Orton jumping diamond cutters is my question.
The non-gay one.
Oh, from out of nowhere, the Viper, the Viper. I love those compilations, bro. I love those compilations. Folks, the Southern Poverty Law Center. Am I the only one who thinks Southern Poverty Law Center could be like the name of a 70s folk rock band or something? But anyways, Southern Poverty Law Center, folks, has, well, a lot of us have been warning for years. For years. Charlie Kirk, I remember back in the day, was warning about it. Scott Adams, I just recorded a rant and dropped it. Go watch it. It turned out real well, but we talked about some of this stuff. Gavin McInnes has been blowing the whistle on the SPLC. And as I said, Charlie Kirk, many other people, and of course, I was one of those people who have been talking for years. The Southern Poverty Law Center have been weaponized against conservatives. In fact, we're learning to what extent that was actually happening ahead of time. But folks, Taryn, go ahead and tear into that story if you don't mind. Lead us through it.
Yes.
We already talked about it a little bit in the rant, but let's go into a little bit more detail because that is what the offensive is for. Thank you all for joining us, by the way.
Let me find the story here. One moment.
There you go. Always on top of it, like a fat chick. Godspeed. All right. DOJ charges far left SPLC. I feel like that far left is, it's not doing much heavy lifting at all. It's kind of superfluous. With fraud, money laundering, manufacturing racism to justify its existence. Did we not just list like character traits of the DNC at this point? Yes, go ahead and scroll. We remember the Tiki Torch Parade at Charlottesville. There was a lot of speculation that was AstroTurfed. You know, Taryn, you didn't really do a whole lot of broadcasting with me back when Charlottesville happened. I did a reaction to Charlottesville. I talked about kind of the Charlottesville 2, sort of when the Antifa riots popped off and all that. I've done videos about Charlottesville. We've never gotten your opinion and your reaction to what happened after Charlottesville. So I'm actually kind of curious. When the Charlottesville thing happened, what was your reaction? Did you immediately think AstroTurf?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
The second I hear any of these big rallies, I mean, even if it's a normal one, the money has to come from somewhere. Someone has to pay these people to show up in the same place at the same time. This isn't a naturally organic thing where it's like, okay, we're going to have a get together for, a march for a holiday, or because we truly believe in something in 2 months, everyone should be here. These things happen just like out of nowhere within a week. Maybe 2.
Yeah,
These guys were fully funded. They all had those tiki torches. They had fucking signs prepared. They had speeches ready.
the khaki pants uniform thing going on
Patriot
with
Front.
Yes. And this is the Patriot Front is always a weird one. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, over the course of the show. But there are so many Patriot Front adjacent kind of organizations, Patriot Front-esque organizations. And I've always remarked on this. Patriot Front is the only one that whenever I take aim at them, whenever I call them feds, which all of these organizations get called feds, every last one of them, Patriot Front is the only one I get immediate, obviously botted pushback on every single time, whether it's in a comment section, whether it's on social media, and it's not persuasive in the slightest. I don't know if you've noticed that phenomenon, but it drives. Anyways, sorry, we're detracting from the story. You want to go down this and actually, because we might get a little more detail, because everyone's kind of doing their victory laps. Nobody's really breaking down in detail what exactly is being alleged by the DOJ, by Kash Patel, by the FBI, toward the Southern Poverty Law Center. The Southern Poverty Law Center, for those who don't know, far left pressure group, far left, kind of like Media Matters or one of those kind of organizations. They make a list, they check it twice. Basically, anybody right of Chairman Mao winds up on that list. And essentially, these were mass deplatforming ops before mass deplatforming ops were a thing. Pre-internet. Southern Poverty Law Center and Media Matters and these kind of what was the other one? What was the one that had Michael Savage on a watch list for complimenting Joseph McCarthy and such? Like
Either the ADL or the ACLU.
ACLU. Well, the ACLU carries their water, but yes, these kind of organizations. I know Styx has been on some of these lists. I have been on some of these lists, but the SPLC has a long and storied history of complete unremitting horse shit. In fact, we might give you guys a little bit of a refresher on the actual history of the organization because the character of them plays into this story. Please start reading for us there, Taryn.
Yes, sir. In a press release from the Office of Public Affairs for the Department of Justice, it was revealed that the SPLC was charged by an Alabama grand jury with 11 counts of wire fraud, false statements to a federally insured bank, and conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering. According to the press release, an indictment says that starting in the 1980s, the SPLC began operating a covert network of individuals who were either associated with violent extremist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan.
What's the total membership of the Ku Klux Klan? I remember that episode of Jerry Springer, the first KKK one that they did, because they were always interviewing the KKK guys. And their membership was down to like nothing. You remember that episode of Springer where they had like the last Grand Wizard guy and he's literally on like cancer treatment. He's got like an IV in his arm. He's in a bed. And everybody's standing around in their hoods, and he's like at death's door, and this is all being portrayed by Jerry Springer, like, these guys are gonna retake the country any minute now. Guy's literally got a pick line in his arm, for Christ's sake. But
when you describe that, all I see is that scene from Dark Crystal where all the fucking all ugly vultures are surrounding the one vulture that's dying, the king.
Yep. Yes, exactly. But for a long time, they were trying to like, look, the left, if this were a campfire, the left would be blowing on this motherfucker like crazy because they need it. They need for there to be a boogeyman because that's how they get paid. Scott Adams, I wish I had the clip queued up right now, but we put it in our rant. Go watch that. He was saying, hey, if your job was to find ghosts, are you going to find ghosts? That's really, when it comes down to it, if you want to get into the crass economics of it, that I think is the militating factor here. But anyway, go ahead and quote that real quick.
According to the indictment, starting in the 1980s, the SPLC began operating a covert network of individuals who are either associated with violent and extremist groups such as the Ku Klux Klan, or who had infiltrated violent extremist groups at the SPLC's direction. Unbeknownst to donors, but known to some.
Yes!
Their donated money was being used to fund the leaders and organizers of racist groups at the same time that the SPLC was denouncing the same groups on its website.
Yep. And it's telling. They're also, if you think about this, they are admitting what groups are effective and what groups are effective for propping up as a boogeyman to fundraise for the left. They funded the KKK. They funded Patriot Front. Or at least allegedly, that's what's being alleged by the DOJ. And Kash Patel, of course, listed off the groups. I don't know actually if you want to find that video real quick on Twitter for us. But you know who they didn't fund? Turning Point, who they listed on the list of hate groups. It's like they're specifically exempting from funding the groups that are actually having an electoral effect and that they know not to be hate monger. You see the shell game at play here, guys? This is a tacit admission that these are not actually hate mongers and racists and so forth. I just say, what's wrong? What's wrong with creating racists the old-fashioned way? By moving into an apartment building. I'm just saying.
Oh, which video did you want me to the announcement of this?
Kash Patel's announcement, yes. It's a pretty brief video. It's like 2 minutes or something like that.
Oh, hold on. None of this is listed in latest.
Yeah.
Here we go.
I'll continue reading while
Sure.
you do that. There's a couple of paragraphs here. The SPC also allegedly funneled more than 3 million donated funds to individuals who were associated with groups such as the National Socialist Movement, United Klans of America, and the Aryan Nation-affiliated Sadistic Souls Motorcycle Club between 2014 and 2023, according to the press release. The SPLC is manufacturing racism to justify its existence, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche said in a statement. Using donor money to allegedly profit off Klansmen cannot go unchecked. Using donor money there. Ooh. That one's delicious for me because after Charlottesville, which we're going to talk a little bit about, it was reported in the press. You can look this up. A $10 million donation to the SPLC was cut in a check by George Clooney. So George Clooney unwittingly based. I'm just saying, unwittingly, the most base celebrity.
How will he ever recover from this?
Right?
I did find the video if you just want to watch it real quick.
Yes, please. Hey, sweet.
What the general just told you. The Southern Poverty Law Center, in a massive sweeping indictment, has been charged with the banking system to perpetrate that fraud. I just want to talk about a couple brief things here. Themselves advertise to raise money to dismantle violent extremist groups for a period of at least a decade. They use their donor network to raise money to purportedly dismantle violent extremist groups.
Yep.
However, the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, used the money they raised from their donor network to actually pay the leadership of these very groups. I just want to say that again. They used the fraudulently raised money by lying to their donor network, thousands of Americans, to go ahead and actually pay the leadership of these supposed violent extremist groups.
Yep.
The groups, as laid out, include the Ku Klux Klan, Klans of America, Unite to Right, National Alliance, the National Socialist Movement,
Those with the camera work.
Nation Motorcycle Club, and the National Socialist Party of America, and also the American Front.
Yeah.
In at least one of these matters, our investigation revealed that funds were used to facilitate the commission of further state and federal offenses, totaling over $3 million.
Damn.
Furthermore,
it's more
our
than that.
investigation revealed
Dude, if we're just talking
on top of
property damage remember what happened at Charlottesville. You remember the big story out of that.
Yeah.
It was not Nick Fuentes. Nothing about Nick Fuentes is big. The guy who ran the chick down while he was trying to, somebody brandished their rifle at him. He should not be in prison. He was running away from somebody who was threatening to shoot him. I mean, he's still culpable, right? But they shouldn't have thrown the book at him. He got 35 years or something like that.
It's insane. And I will also point out, this has now happened multiple times.
Mm-hmm.
But because it doesn't get national attention, those people don't go to jail. And they shouldn't, because people are surrounding your car and threatening to harm you.
Yeah.
You should fucking run their asses over.
Yeah.
But anyway, what were you saying? Go ahead.
But think about that. Think about that just purely in monetary terms, beyond the human cost. That was a whole criminal trial. It was months long. The guy winds up, I mean, he's going to be in prison for probably the rest of his life, whatever. That should be added to this figure, frankly. But 3 million seems like a fairly conservative estimate.
3 million. So, especially since this article is alleging since the 1980s.
Yeah. She had a heart attack. Mild correction. She had an aortal bisection, which is pretty common in people being struck with an automobile, right? It's a chest sternal trauma kind of injury.
Yeah, you really can't, like, it's if somebody gets shot, you can't say, oh, they died from blood loss. I mean,
right.
They were shot.
Yeah. I mean, it's a common mistake or whatever. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah.
Perpetuating this widespread, decade-long, multi-million-dollar fraud conducted more criminal activity.
Mm-hmm.
They attempted to hide their criminal activity from our financial banking network. They set up shell companies and entities around America so that the financial institutions that we rely on as everyday Americans were deceived in believing that money was not coming from the Southern Poverty Law Center in the perpetration of this scheme and fraud, but rather fictitious entities they stood up to perpetuate this ongoing fraud.
And that is a very
egregious
common tactic, right? We've heard about the billionaire Neville Singham, right, who funded a lot of those No Kings rallies. And basically, if it's a violent leftist rally, the George Floyd stuff, the Summer of Love, whatever, Neville Singham's fingerprints are all over it, right? But that guy has shell companies upon shell companies upon shell companies. And that really is the leftist outrage funding apparatus. It is systematized. It really is systematized. This is a full-on network. I wouldn't call it a conspiracy, right? It's not a conspiracy as such. It's more like a bunch of people doing the dirt. But prayers for Georgia and Florida. Multiple wildfires raging, one near my home. Have dog and most important stuff with me, but don't want to lose home. Well, Godspeed. Our prayers are with you. I'm sorry to hear that.
There's also a tornado warning, I believe.
Really? Yeah, I know that this last couple of months, there's been a number of like tornado scares in Oklahoma and that general region and whatever. Did you want to keep reading that article?
Certainly. Give me a second. I actually lost it. There we go. You read this up here, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so I will scroll down. In a post on X, Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) Director Kash Patel shared that he and Blanche were announcing an 11-count indictment against the SPLC.
Mm-hmm.
The SPLC allegedly engaged in a massive fraud operation to deceive their donors and enrich themselves and hide their deceptive operations from the public, Patel said. They lied to their donors, vowing to dismantle violent extremist groups, and actually turned around and paid the leaders of these very extremist groups, even utilizing the funds to have these groups facilitate the commission of state and federal crimes.
Yeah. I think also it was a combination. You had some entities that were flat out funded. Gavin McInnes, of course, talked about like all the times that they tried the Southern Poverty Law Center. There were some tendrils there that were trying to reach into the Proud Boys, and Gavin McInnes kept pushing back really, really, really hard on it. The Proud Boys kept getting roped into these things that had SPLC fingerprints all over them. And that was one of the earliest schisms in the Proud Boys and ultimately led to Gavin McInnes, of course, stepping away from that. I forget what all the drama was that went down there. There was a whole power struggle and everything. And, of course, a bunch of the Proud Boys wound up being arrested and whatever. But Gavin McInnes was one of the earliest whistleblowers on this stuff because he dealt with it firsthand. And we've all kind of suspected this. And actually, we were talking about the list making. Do you have the other story that's by way of corollary there from Breitbart? They just dropped this today where they were going over some of the organizations that were actually targeted rather by the SPLC.
Report.
By her former head, Margaret Huang, and what a head it is. My goodness.
Leftist SPLC's former head, Margaret Huang, weaponized the group against conservatives. No shit. Let's see. The report comes after the U.S. Department of Justice on Tuesday charged the organization with fraud and money laundering linked to violent extremist groups per Breitbart News. The SPLC's former boss, Margaret Huang, took over in 2020, after which the SPLC took a more partisan tone.
Sure. The Southern Poverty Law Center was never partisan before that. Again, the history of this. If Scott Adams is talking about how biased the SPLC is back in 2017, you know what I mean? I was talking about it. Charlie Kirk, of course, warned about it over the years. This was before they added him to a list, which we will talk about in just a moment. Continue, sir.
In a piece published last year, Huang claimed that hard-right extremist groups have steadily penetrated American life, politics, and government since President Trump's 2016 election, arguing his second White House run gave them an ally in the highest office of the nation. What was once considered a fringe agenda in the modern era is the blueprint from which the country's president and the MAGA movement is operating. She blasted in an article for Daily
Little Freudian slip there, blueprint, design and conspiracy terms. Here she is systematizing a vast fraud network to fund the very extremists she is in turn funded to oppose. And she's using systemic language, guys. They will confess tacitly if you give them enough rope. Keep going. I'd like to give him even more rope. Anyway, Anyways, before we're demonetized.
She blasted in an article for Daily Cause, some say Cosm, warning that the hard right is muscling its way into schools and libraries. The SPLC targeted the conservative group known as Turning Point USA in 2025 by putting it on a hate map with KKK chapters, Breitbart News reported at the time. Turning Point USA founder Charlie Kirk, who was brutally assassinated during a Utah speaking engagement in September of the same year, reacted to the move in a social media post, calling it a cheap smear from a washed-up org that's been fleecing scared grandmas for decades. Man, he had their number, didn't he?
Man, it's wild how since his death, the Charlie Kirk has a tweet for everything phenomenon is very real.
People quote him like Nostradamus.
Yeah. Kirkstradamus. Go ahead.
The indictment against the SPLC comes after Kirk, for many years, said its hate group designations targeted conservatives, Christians, parental rights activists, and his organization. Breitbart News reported Wednesday.
And again, you have to think about not just the organizations that are funded here. You have to think about the figures that were boosted. I remember David Dukes was involved in all of that. Now, he was already a nationally known figure. Of course, everybody knows, who's remind me, folks, what Mexican manlet was fired into the phagosphere by the Charlottesville infamy again? Who was that? Taryn, can you refresh my memory? Was it, Ricky Martin? No?
Something like that. I forget.
Yeah. I'm not saying Fuentes is AstroTurf, but I think Fernando Tatis is fielding grounders off his fucking face right now.
Enrique Iglesias.
And he's having a minute on social media right now. He went pretty quiet for a good 24 hours, although, granted, a grounder is not the worst thing that's ever been fired at his face. Look, folks, it's not a conspiracy. It's basic bitch tactics, really. If you can't improve your position, you weaken the other guys. It's just that simple. Right? You go right for those hamstrings. You go for the weakest point. Every Nord is big and bad until he takes an arrow to the knee. Right? That's just, I think that's what we're observing here, really. The left, as I've said, for how long? It's like a Gregorian chant at this point. The left cannot make the sale anymore. They can't make the sale on their positions because it's basically been inverted. The popularity of their positions has been inverted. If at one point gay marriage was popular across the land, it no longer is. Maybe a majority still support it, but there has been a massive hatchet taken to that support, especially over the last 5 to 10 years. And a lot of it has to do with their conduct and whatever. But the fact is, they're just on the wrong side of too many 70-30, maybe even 80-20 issues in some cases. I mean, I've seen approval for trans issues and childhood transitions as low as like single digit. What about you?
It's definitely gone the fuck away. That's
Yeah.
how I feel about it. It seems like only organizations like the SPLC and other of these advocating groups ever bring this shit up. If you didn't have them to bring it up, nobody would give a shit.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, you've got this tactic that's in play right now where the left can't improve their own position, so they've got to tear down the opposing position. The divide and conquer strategy is real, it is observable, and denying it does no credit to your position. Especially because I think some of the pushback is from Sperg-Right themselves. They're embarrassed to admit that they were manipulated. We're not saying none of the people there were organic. We're instead saying you're stupid, easily manipulated asshats. That's what we're saying. We're saying you were led around by your tiny little micro crank. That's what we're saying, bitch. And I understand why you would be defensive in that instance, but bitch, you were. And it's time to admit that out loud. There's a paper trail. It was observable at the time. People who had actual street smarts, what I would call observable intelligence, right? There's book intelligence, there's memorization intelligence, and then there is whatever, street smarts, whatever you want to say. Observable, I would say, intelligence in practice, who were able to put the pattern together and see that this is something that had occurred before. This is something that occurred in previous instances. And we've seen repetitions of it again and again and again. This is what I mentioned in my rant, dude. I would have more patience for the people who deny that this is an op if we weren't on like our third or fourth repetition of it just in the last several election cycles, dude. I mean, I've talked about this stuff after the 2018 midterms. We saw it before and after 2016. We saw it before and after 2018. We saw it, of course, before and after 2020, because that was the mass black pill event. 2022, though, we saw it again. And we just saw it ahead of 2024, except it failed. So what did they have to do? They had to pivot. The most awkward pivot in the history of human existence was Nick Fuentes after Election Day, where he suddenly went, we did it. After eating out Kamala on national television and declaring Groyper War 3.0, he claimed that he was accountable for Trump's victory and declared that Trump's victory was a positive, which is completely contrary not only to everything he said before that, but to everything he said immediately afterward. I lose patience with people who fail to recognize a pattern after it's been repeated 5 fucking times. I'm sorry. I passed kindergarten.
Goldfish memory.
No shit. No shit. And not the good cheesy goldfish kind. Crack Jones. Sorry, I'll let you continue in a moment. But
sure.
If Dim Pool's civil war happens, it'll be over in 6 months or less because Dems can't fight. They got almost no guns. They can't survive outside cities. That is true. And they certainly can't survive inside cities because they have no source of food, can't grow their own food, and can't stop the gangs. One more, and then I'll let you continue. Let's see if NPR will spurg out about the SPLC the same way they did about Iran-Contra, because it gave them the chance to scream at a Republican president. Right? Hey, and we've got a Republican president. Shouldn't they be on this? Go ahead and continue.
During the December 2025 testimony before the House Judiciary Committee, Turning Point USA Executive Vice President Andrew Cipher stated that Kirk had warned 3 months before his assassination that the SPLC's designation of Turning Point USA on its hate map would place the organization in the crosshairs.
I remember that.
Cipher told lawmakers that the warning proved prophetic after Kirk was assassinated at Utah Valley University in September 2025. People don't understand that these people might actually be directly responsible for Charlie's death. It's God, it's sickening.
I mean, indirectly, how many people are responsible for Charlie Kirk's? Indirectly, how many entities and individuals were responsible for the almost assassination of the man in the White House right now?
Yeah.
I mean, 1 centimeter to the right, he's done so. That's it. How much turning up the temperature for how many years did we witness? We got that famed, Grand Imperial Palpatine speech from Biden earlier that year, or whatever, right? Where he declared roughly half the country to be domestic terrorists. Anyway, keep going.
In announcing the indictment on Tuesday, Federal Bureau of Investigation FBI Director Kash Patel said the charges against the SPLC included wire fraud, false statements to federally insured bank, and conspiracy to commit concealment money laundering.
No.
I think we've already been over this. Yep, that's about it. Post article noted that Huang's compensation was $522,000 in 2023, adding she was removed in July after huge layoffs and is now a senior advisor at the Leadership Conference on Civil and Human Rights. An indictment in all of itself, because if you've got her there, what is the legitimacy of this place?
Yeah. One of the informants broke into the offices of a hate group and stole documents. The SPLC pulled a Watergate. Let's call it Hategate. Hate maps, Hategate. I don't know where this Hatopia is, but I want to move there. It sounds fantastic.
Better than poop maps and Poopgate.
Yes. I always find it funny when they call Fuentes far right when he's advocated for Democrats more times than I can count. I always laugh whenever they're like, "Oh, he's broken with Trump." It's like, bro, the one time we can confirm he likely voted for Donald Trump was 2020, and how did that go? He supported Kamala in 2024. We don't know if he voted for her or not. He claims he didn't, but the thing about him is that he lives and breathes unbridled lies. So, how do you even assess that, really? But the one verifiable time we know that he voted for Trump laws, or lost in air quotes. Had to do a college project on the SPLC for a shit-lib professor and was shocked to see basic conservative and libertarian groups like Mobs for Liberty labeled hate groups. Exactly. And that's what we were talking about before. They'll list them, but they'll only fund the ones that make the right look bad enough that they'll get the right, the ones that are sexy for the headlines. All right. I wish Trump would stop trying to gaslight everyone into thinking real regime change has occurred. He has to know no one is buying it. It's weird. It's contrary-wise messaging. I agree with you on a certain level, because he has kind of said, oh, well, now the current administration is much more moderate, which he really needs to specify who he's talking about. Because Iran had a fractured government before all this, much less when, their entire upper leadership was glassed, right? But one moment he'll say, like he did this week, unconditional surrender, and the next minute he says, oh, there's already moderates, so we kind of had regime change. You know what I mean? Do you have Rumble rants, by the way?
Oh, goodness. Hold on one second.
Just bring it up, just to have it on.
Yeah.
Hey, Razor, visiting my dad in Goodyear until Tuesday. Any recommendations on things to do in the West Valley that don't result in skin cancer? You don't want to swim? What the hell? You don't? Castles and coasters. Yeah.
There we go. Oh, my God. We have quite a few, actually.
Rock and roll.
Ultros, it seems you and James Lindsay are right. What's your predictions on the fallout, and are careers going to be ruined?
Pay attention to who's being real quiet right now. Because some people are being very quiet on this. I think we need to pay attention to that. Will careers be ruined? I think most of the people who took this payola in the case of Charlottesville, this is what I worry about, is it's more of a backlog. There's so much of a backlog here. We're only going to find out about events like Charlottesville that happened years ago. When was Charlottesville? 2017?
Yeah.
I think it was. Yeah. So that was years ago, guys. This was 9 years ago or whatever. So a lot of those people have sallied off into the sunset by now. Yeah, you have Fuentes and people. I don't think Fuentes took money directly, But I do think that he got signal boosted for the same reason that they funded a lot of these people, because it's the Richard Spencer effect. They always wanted to make sure that when Richard Spencer did the Sieg Heil, there were rolling media cameras there because it helped the left, right? So if you're saying, will anyone who's active and relevant right now get hurt by this? Maybe one or two. But I think a lot of these people either were arrested or kind of irrelevant. That Augustus Invictus clown who did a lot of the organizing of that event and then just basically disappeared the next day, that's not suspicious at all. Those kind of people are essentially completely marginalized irrelevancies anyways. So I don't think it really matters if there are any attendant consequences there. As a pagan, I've always appreciated your friendship with Styx. Can you talk some sense into him about Iran? I haven't really seen his take about Iran. Also tried wishing you happy Easter, but it never got read out. Hope you had a blessed one. Godspeed. Godspeed, sir. Thank you. You want to read more?
Known drifter. Now to investigate the ADL. What will we leer there?
Yep. Kind of the same thing. Kind of a similar origin story. For positive-ish question, thoughts on MechWarrior 5? I'm liking it at the moment, just wondering what mech and build I should pick. I did a full review of MechWarrior 5, and I did not... It's Battletech, so I'll buy it, because it's a Battletech game. And for years and years and years, we had no Battletech games, right? I was making videos during that gigantic drought for years where, dude, you absolutely could not play a new Battletech game. It had been almost 20 years since the last one. So I'm just appreciative that there are new Battletech games. They kind of suck, and Piranha are not good at their jobs, and they're not good at making AI, especially. The AI in those games is absolutely atrocious. Still is. I think it's actually gotten worse. And MechWarrior 5 Clans might have actually been worse overall. But yeah, generally speaking, I'll buy them. I'll play them. They're Battletech, so I'm interested, but they're not very good, objectively. Taryn, you have any thoughts on that, MechWarrior 5?
I mean, MechWarrior 5 Mercenaries is passable. It's good, a bit grindy. Clans is god-awful. I can't stand it.
It really is. I on the one hand, I like what Clans was trying to do, have a stronger story and cutscenes and all that stuff. They tried to put more lore in, but it was lore that was written by Piranha, and it sounds like AI. Honest, a lot of it sounds like AI. The script and some of the lore and stuff, it reeks of AI to me. So the quality is just not very high. But I appreciate what they were trying to do. They were trying to give you one of those classic style 90s mech. Here's a cutscene. Here's a mission. Here's a cutscene. One of those kind of games. Classic kind of PC mech games. But it was an absolute back alley abortion in terms of execution. Do you think Charlie Kirk would still be alive if the SPLC, ADL, and ACLU got taken down sooner? An alternate timeline with no conservative battle of five armies? Well, here's the problem with that. A lot of people have said, oh, Charlie Kirk dies and the entire right falls apart. Guys, Charlie Kirk was already up in the middle of that battle of the five armies before he died. Did everybody forget that? I think part of the reason he dug his heels in and lugged Tucker Carlson's increasingly retarded ass to all those Turning Point events shortly before his death is because people were telling him to cancel Tucker Carlson. I think he took personal offense. Oh, I've gone out to dinner with Tucker Carlson. We're not going to cancel him. We're not, even though it was obvious. Like, I think there were people with sincere concerns about Tucker Carlson's insincerity, which I think has been thoroughly proven at this point, with him literally laughing at his quote unquote friend's assassination at this point. I don't think it's very defensible at this point, but yeah, that battle of the five armies happened before Charlie Kirk died. That did not start because Charlie Kirk kicked it. It just gave bad actors on our side a power vacuum to try and fill. So it intensified it, I would say.
Lagarticus, is it just me, or has the left been using the word neighbors suspiciously often? It's starting to sound like comrade to my jaded ears. I hate the brazen language manipulation of the left.
If I'm correct about what you're referencing, the time when I noticed they use neighbor a lot, like freaking Mr. Rogers, is illegal immigration. Oh, there are Mexican neighbors. There are, right? Like, because it takes the edge off. Hey, they committed a federal crime. That's why they employ the term neighbor, I think. They're always, dude, the language, say what you want about the left. They have lost their mojo in terms of their positions. Their positions are popular as pussy cancer. They're absolutely terrible. But man, on language manipulation, they absolutely destroy the right. The right has no clue. No clue. We're still calling ourselves conservatives. We're still letting them call themselves progressives. All the so-called based high IQ influencers in the podcastosphere can't even catch on to the fact that, hey, wait, repeatedly referring to a bunch of leftists who want to take us back several hundred years to Marxian communes, calling them progressive actually kind of plays into their purpose. You know what I mean? Like, that drives me nuts.
And Godspeed to Enid, Oklahoma. I read that one. Hope you don't get hit by a tornado. Hope you're well.
Hey, Johnny Silverhand, where's your silver hand? We should actually show the photo. The original version of Johnny Silverhand
looked exactly like you.
Exactly like me. I mean, it could not have been an accident. Could not possibly have been an accident. Before they cast Keanu in that role, it was me. I should have been suing him for royalties. All right. The biggest mistake Iran made was to open the Strait of Hormuz. Now the USA controls that strait due to that. And it's funny because the Iranian Navy, the three officers that are on ground that remain of the Iranian Navy were claiming that they're going to close the strait. It's like, with what? With what? All right. Are you aware about a new animated movie coming out called Raygun? Brad Bird, director of The Iron Giant. I like The Iron Giant. What about you, Taryn? You like Iron Giant?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wants it to be his ode to both 1930s retro futurism, but also classic noir. Hey, I like that.
I'm down.
Yeah. What razor and color? What fresh hell is this? Yeah, I haven't put the filter on the last couple of weeks. All right. Hail, Razor and Taryn. Any plans to pick up Pragmata? I bought it out of spite for screeching leftists like Hamas Diddy Piker, but I'm really having a lot of fun, so it's a win-win. Godspeed. Didn't interest me at all. What about you, Taryn? I know it's the new cause celebrate because it's become a little bit of a front in the culture war because it sounds like it's giving guys baby fever, which creeps me out a little.
Not specifically guys, but specifically women.
Gamers baby fever, whatever, right? I mean, it kind of activates guys' protective instincts of their progeny, I think is really what that's playing into. And so the left are trying to portray that as creepy. A guy sees a little kid and they think, I've got to protect it. That's my daughter. That's my son. That's the normal way a freaking adult male is freaking oriented, unless you're Elijah Schaffer. All right, there we go. The easiest way to disprove Islam. Angels being afraid to enter a home because of dogs kind of makes their God look false. Personal problems with dogs is one thing, but the divine, Godspeed. New from Daily Gondor. Always good to get these updates. South Gondor Law Center, critical resource in war on extremism. Allegations of funding Umbar and Corsair raids, unfounded, dangerous, and anti-Araboran by Mulgrim Mithrilmonger. All right. UK's former U.S. ambassador and Epstein associate Peter Mandelson revealed to be on the CCP's payroll. Watch the usual suspects continue to ignore China's meddling in favor of Jew-sperging some more. That's the thing. Like, I'm mostly just indifferent on Israel. The thing that pisses me off about Jew-sperging is it is such a distraction from more obvious meddlers in American politics. Again, you can go on Open Secrets. Open Secrets has all the campaign funding for all the candidates, at least the stuff that's been publicly disclosed, of course, but it's a lot of data. It's a lot of data to swim through. And if you want to see the countries listed in order of influence in terms of funding U.S. politicians, barely at number 10 is Israel, after the Marshall Islands and such, after whatever island chains, and number one is, of course, surprise, surprise, it's China. But dude, I haven't even heard Tucker Carlson mention China unless he's slobbering all over their nads. ADL and ACLU next, please. Yes, please. From your lips to God's ears. Riley, Razor, with your permission, a message for the Force. Folks, come get your Iron Age reading material here. Pulp Action, Tactical Supernatural, Things Go Boom, TNA, Eastern Blood Price by Riley C. Bolt. Godspeed. I hope people pick that up. We're always big fans of the Pulp Action here. And we just got a super chat in this connection. Hey, please pray for everyone in Eden, Oklahoma. We got clipped by an F3 to F4 tornado. I don't know what that means, but it sounds bad. Vance, we don't have weather here, in case you're wondering. Vance Air Force Base got hit directly, and it looks like it's going to clip the southeast of town. Again, the only state where I got caught in a tornado is Oklahoma. And at one point, the car was up on 2 wheels. It was the scariest shit in my entire life.
Damn.
I was a little kid. We were going on a road trip. We thought we could outrun the storm. It came through, and it was not a super powerful tornado. Only one I ever got caught in. We must have been right on the edge of it. And dude, one entire side of the car was up for a second. It was terrifying. Absolutely terrible. We couldn't do anything except just pull over to the side of the road and try and wait it out. That's all we could do. We were out in the middle of the highway too, out in the boonies. Gray Matter, socialists finding out their donations fund neo-Nazis like 1940s socialists finding out their donations were funding Nazis. Shocked Pikachu. Well, the problem with 1940s socialists is they wouldn't be shocked because before the war, they had portraits of Hitler and Mussolini in their houses. Dude, Mussolini was like a #1 stud of the year for American socialists before the war. They loved him. Absolutely. In fact, there's a great clip you can watch on YouTube, an English language clip it's like one of the only English language speeches I think that's ever been preserved by Mussolini. And he's reaching out to Americans. I forget if it's in connection with some socialist brotherhood cause or whatever it is, but you should go look that up. Thickest accent ever, dude. Makes Super Mario look like Joey Gladstone. 666 King Drummer. Hey, Razor, do you think we could get a video on Sword and Sandal, seeing as that Odyssey movie is the Sword and Sandal genre, you mean? Seeing as that Odyssey movie's right around the corner, it's looking like it's going to be another Holly weird shit show, and we're going to need some palate cleansers. I mean, shoot, Sword and Sandal, it's funny. Sword and Sandal, Conan is almost a Sword and Sandal kind of thing, a little bit. But I never got heavily into the genre. I always did love the Odyssey. Man, I used to pore over that illustrated, painted, like watercolor painted version of the Odyssey in my school library back in the day. I just freaking loved it. What about you, Taryn? You ever get into like Sword and Sandal fantasy or old Greek myths and stuff?
No, the most I ever really liked were like the original movies, like Conan, like Red Sonja, like Clash of the Titans, stuff like that.
Yes, exactly. 2026, the year of leering. Godspeed. Godspeed to Nick Shirley, by the way, who is freaking terrifying California so much they're literally passing a law to stop him. That's when you know you're actually having an effect. Hey, Razor, are there any Westerns from the 40s through the 70s you can recommend outside of the top 10 video you did? I also nominate Judge Dredd 2028 to clean up this nonsense. Commies are not the law. I am the law. Rio Bravo. High Noon. Even though High Noon started out as commie propaganda, the director moved it in a different direction, and it wound up being a great Western, which is why the commie screenwriter of that movie demanded that his name be taken off of it. Because it wound up being an ode to American individualism instead of a clunky allegory for the House Un-American Activities Committee hearings. So those are the ones that come to mind. And of course, I already recommended Have Gun Will Travel and that kind of stuff. All right.
The Sartana movies.
Yes, the Sartana movie was what I already recommended. There's a great Franco Nero one called Kioma. Kind of an late. We're talking like we were maybe in the mid 70s by this point. Spaghetti Westerns. Spaghetti Westerns were dead. They were flat dead. And here comes Franco Nero with a random spaghetti Western. And it is very different. It's very different from other spaghetti westerns. Hard to describe, but a good movie. The most obnoxious theme song I've ever heard in my life. It's worth it to watch just for that, honestly. I've been disappointed to see Mouse PI for Hire is just brazen lefty revenge prawn against so-called Yahtzees. Is it? I don't know. I haven't played it yet. The thing with me was I love the art style, but the gameplay just looked like a low rent boomer shooter. It didn't look like anything exceptional at all. That's the thing that's turned me off mainly. Have you seen much of it being played or anything, Taryn? Or
what was the name of the game again?
Mouse PI.
Oh, Mouse PI. Yeah. It looks great. I love the animations. I don't know how deep of a game it is.
That's what I'm saying. It just seems really like a really shallow boomer shooter is my kind of takeaway.
Yeah, I'd have to watch somebody play it, maybe.
Yeah. Mussolini was always a committed commie. He was a Marxist for a while. It's funny. His politics seemed to go wherever his dick went. It's like the reverse of most chicks. If he was banging a commie chick, he was a commie. If he was banging a socialist chick, he was a socialist, right? He seemed to vacillate depending on what that was. The Italian Social Republic in 1944 to 1945 was pretty much the USSR South. Cheers, my friend. Yep. And of course, Benito Mussolini was the editor-in-chief of the big socialist newspaper, which still exists today. All right. Conan is public domain in 2 years, and maybe the trademarks are still held, is the thing. I think the stories will go into public domain, but you're probably not going to be able to just publish stories called Conan. That's probably not going to be able to happen. Like, The Shadow lapses into public domain, I think, next year. And I already have a title picked out because I know I can't just do The Shadow. That's not going to be allowed. So I had to go through all the books and find like a good title that is encapsulatory but isn't going to be a copyright infringement thing. And I think I found one, by the way. I think it's going to be pretty good. So look out for that. I'm looking forward. I haven't started really digging into writing on it. So toward the end of the year, I think I'm going to get more heavily into that. Do we still have Rumble Rants, by the way, before we lose those?
Absolutely. We got 3 from Mercenary X.
Hey.
I'm going to say this again. Like I always say, we are watching theater. And we're watching the dirty laundry of people being paraded out on a walk of shame. Get ready for mass arrests. So very Dune. I think he means so very soon.
Are you sure it's not a spice must flow type thing? Or
also,
Taryn,
did you see the video?
Taryn, fear is the mind killer.
Of course it is. Also, did you see the video where Chop was hinting at the IRS going goodbye? Chop? Probably another misspelling. So long, sayonara forever. We're about to see something biblical very soon. Literally biblical, as in God himself intervening.
Well, look, I know there are people in the administration who are amenable, if not outright advocates of the FBI not being downsized, not being purged, being flat out closed. I know that because I had conversations with some of them. You guys if you watch my podcast appearances with Gorka or whatever, we had a whole episode devoted to going through all the intelligence agencies and saying, okay, which one has to go, which one has to, right, which one can maybe stay, which one just has to be purged, tidying up. Right before the administration really took office, we did that episode. So go check that out. But even beyond him, I know a number of people in like the State Department and stuff. They're amenable to it. They're advocates of the FBI maybe just being done away with entirely. And look, it was as I said in my video entitled, "It's Time to Fire the FBI," as the name suggests, it was a temporary government agency that was meant to deal with ascendant street crime in the early 20th century that overstayed its mandate. after it was done, I mean, shoot, this is germane to what we're talking about here today. The SPLC, the ghost hunting analogy. If your job is to hunt ghosts, you're going to find some ghosts to hunt. That's what happened with the FBI, or the precursor agency that eventually became the FBI. It was like, what was it? It was the Bureau of Investigation originally, or something like that. But it was, they had to hunt gangsters, so they kept finding gangsters. And then once they were out of gangsters, they went and found drug lords, and they keep inventing reasons why they need to continue to exist. And you see, when there's not enough gangsters and there's not enough drug lords, when crime is at 40-year lows in the United States, what happened? What happened under Biden? During that 40-year low in gun crime and domestic crime and all of that stuff, they cannibalized the U.S. citizens, declared them domestic terror. They turned inward and started cannibalizing us. And why was that? Because they have to continue to exist. It's time for them to go. They were only supposed to be a temporary agency. The president could sign them out of existence with a single stroke of the pen because he created them. With, I believe it was with, there may be some formalities in Congress, but he could essentially write them out of existence if he wanted to, by himself, unilaterally.
And he should before he's out of office.
And he should. What an end run that would be on his way out. I'm under no illusions it'll happen, but Emperor Creatine, although stranger shit has happened in the Trump cabinet. You know what would have been a pretty funny parody? Lord of the Rings, the two buffets. Gandalf the Fit, Gandalf the Fat. Speak fries and enter. I think you've had too many, dude.
Mercenary X concludes. You can read that one here in a second, but
right.
I just want to get his out of the way before he starts complaining. What's more, I still think we have to worry about whatever Iran has at Pickaxe Mountain. They do have something there that they're willing to use that's going to be nuke-like. Last resort.
Yep. Okay.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, I heard about this. There's a Deathstalker reboot coming this year.
I did hear about that. Yeah,
I heard about that. I actually didn't. I've seen some advanced reviews, and they're actually kind of positive. Although I heard, isn't Patton Oswalt involved in that? I'd rather not. I'd really rather not. All right. I think he's as good a is he writing or is he performing in it? Is he writing the movie? I
don't actually know.
If he's as good a writer as he is a comedian, you know what I mean? I don't know. People say Patton Oswalt never kills, but I say tell that to his wife. Letting everyone know that The Undertaker BD finally has a physical English edition instead of just being on Kindle. Volume 1 is already out. Awesome. I already had all the Kindle volumes. All right. I just finished watching Invasion USA, Eye for an Eye, and The Octagon. I've been missing out on Chuck's filmography, and I'm working overtime to rectify it. Dude, The Octagon is so underrated. So is Invasion USA. All those movies are. Go watch Code of Silence next. That's a great one. And Hero and the Terror, I think, is the most underrated of that whole 80s period there. Hero, and because Hitman is technically a 90s movie. Hero and the Terror, that's a great one. All right. Last week, Austria's demands on Serbia being reasonable. You needed more details. Argument was about Austria leading the investigations of Serbians. Ahead of World War I, you mean? Yeah. I think so. Like I said, I think there was clear evidence, and there has been, in retrospect, clear evidence that there were members of the Serbian military flat out involved in that assassination. In that sense, they had a point. And of course, as we all know, it's kind of a shoulda, coulda, woulda situation. The guy they assassinated was the one who was most agreeable to Serbia's demands, to their demands for independence. That's the hilarious part and the tragic irony of World War I. All right. I did not see this coming for the SPLC. Thank you, sir. You want to read some Rumble rants or one more Rumble rant, and then we will jump to the next story?
Certainly. Jotun. Hello, Mr. Razor and T-Boogie. I heard a member of the RazörForce, Tiggy, has had a biopsy on a tumor. he has on him. Please keep him in your prayers. I didn't realize Tiggy was sick. Prayers up.
Oh gosh, I didn't know that. Godspeed. Our prayers are definitely with you.
I'll read one more. Captain Tight Pants. With the SPLC files, Hassan takes and lefties taking a premature victory lap over the VA redistricting referendum, which got blocked by a judge, by the way.
Yep.
Expect more.
Not so great when it happens to you, huh, lefties?
Expect more ridiculous doomer takes from the likes of Ann Coulter on Tim Pool shows.
Indeed.
Is she going to be on Tim Pool, really?
I'm sure. You wanna jump to the next story, sir?
Does it have anything to do with?
We were talking about Iran. And for a minute there, it seemed like, as the earlier super chatter referenced, Trump was maybe amenable to allowing some of the regime, the more moderate regime, to exist and whatever. And I'm completely opposed to that. As I've said repeatedly, I would have been completely opposed to that. But it sounds like matters have taken a turn and we are now moving in a very different direction.
Glorious American hardware.
A Nimitz-class aircraft carrier, the USS George H.W. Bush, sails into the Indian Ocean. So they're essentially deploying a massive aircraft carrier out there. And, of course, this past week, just a couple of days ago, I think, Trump dropped yet another tweet demanding unconditional surrender from Iran. To be fair, the last time Trump called for an unconditional surrender, he sent J.D. Vance over with a list of fucking conditions. So I'll believe it when I see it. I say, hey, deceased is technically a condition, right? I'm just saying.
Yes, with your pants down. Optional.
That condition, yes. Condition critical. I think Iran hasn't surrendered because no one's left alive to surrender. Actually, there is an argument to be made. Part of the reason they haven't flat out surrendered is no one really knows who's actually in charge.
Yeah. I get the
that is
feeling
a very real phenomenon right now. It absolutely. Look, their entire Navy's doing their best impression of Ted Kennedy's Oldsmobile. They still have rockets somehow, either because Russia's shipping them in on the sly or because they have a great big RPG porn stash somewhere, tucked away like Michelle Obama's dick. Whatever it is, they've got rockets, and that's about it. And that's kind of how they're holding the fort a little bit. But Iran's only real remaining offensive weapon is their propaganda apparatus. I've been saying this for a while, some of which I don't think people realize, at least they don't realize the extent to which it is inward facing, right? It's intended to kind of hold down the fort at home, give the illusion that, oh, there's people in control. We know what we're doing. We're not all going to die. You can still support us or something. And that's kind of inter-regime propaganda that we're sort of absorbing here remotely. I don't see a lot of people pointing that out, but it is something to consider. Sorry, go ahead and read this. We can hear about what's
Stefan in the chat. Are we finally taking on India? Yes, we're airdropping boxes of soap.
Yes, boxes of soap, baking soda.
Let's see. U.S. reinforces Middle East with 3 aircraft carrier strike groups as pressure on Iran. Is it Iran? How do you want to pronounce that?
Well, technically it's Iran.
Iran builds. The United States has surged 3 aircraft carrier strike groups towards the Middle East, creating a rare concentration of naval power that sharply increases its ability to launch sustained strikes, enforce air superiority, and control key sea lanes.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of force posture strengthens deterrence, expands military options across the region, and signals that Washington is prepared for rapid escalation if the security situation worsens.
Yep.
With the USS Gerald R. Ford joining the USS Abraham Lincoln in the broader theater, the U.S. gains greater deck-based strike capacity to support combat sorties, missile defense, and maritime security missions simultaneously. The deployment reflects a wider shift towards flexible, high-end force projection built to respond fast to regional crisis and operate across multiple fronts.
That's that's press release ease for we're sending them in case we have to fuck their shit up. This is clearly a recognition from Trump that, okay, we're probably going to have to clamp down on this. I mean, he initially projected this out for like an 8-9 week campaign, if I remember correctly. And we're in what, week 6, something like that. So he is going to have to, in the next 3 to 4 weeks, is going to have to kind of close this down. And I'm persuaded he's just going to have to commit to the bit, and he's going to have to embrace the role as conqueror. Probably very briefly, he'll have to absorb the negative PR of a slight elevation in casualties or whatever it is, or just perceived getting bogged down. Maybe not even casualties, but just getting bogged down somewhere for a brief period. But if you rip the Band-Aid off, it hurts less in the long run. That's the funny thing about Iraq. We took the wrong lessons from Iraq. We had a perfectly fine campaign in Iraq. Our problem was the occupation. The war in Iraq wasn't a problem. It was waging a politically correct occupation that got us bogged down. And because we had boots on the ground, that gave the press license to declare that we were losing the war and all of that bullshit. Again, this is kind of, people forget. Baghdad Bob, you remember Baghdad Bob, everyone? In Iraq? He wasn't meant to delude the West into surrender. It was intended to cultivate a fallacious air of legitimacy to the sort of actively collapsing Saddam regime while giving Western subversives a license to pretend that we were losing the fucking war. That's all that was. And Iran had Baghdad Bob, and sure as shit, we see today Iran has whatever you want to call him, Tehran Ted. Right, the AI guy with the goofy eyeballs. You seen him before? The guy at the podium. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's inward-facing propaganda to keep the regime stable and to give Western subversives license to say, "Oh, they're losing. They're losing." Just Iran not surrendering is evidence that they're winning. Right? It's the exact same tactic, and it's shocking that all these people who literally printed how much super chat revenue out of declaring Iraq War 2.0 don't know enough about the Iraq War to know that this strategy has been observed before. Of course they don't. Some of them weren't even like cognizant human beings or politically aware back when the Iraq War happened, so they wouldn't remember any of this shit.
And let's continue.
Hail RazörForce to all the Hulkamaniacs. I recommend Netflix's Hulk Hogan Real American. Features the Hulkster doing his first full shoot. A cameo from Donald J. Trump. I did see that. And the final episode is a heartbreaker for WWF fans. Godspeed. Now, how many hard R's are in that documentary is my question.
Not enough is the answer.
Not nearly enough.
Let's see. I shall continue. U.S. Navy sailors conduct flight deck operations aboard. Oh, this just description of the picture. According to the U.S. defense officials, the USS George H.W. Bush is also en route and was reported off the coast of South Africa in April of 2026, indicating a phase of deliberate buildup of combat power. Yeah. This rare tri-carrier.
This is kind of just background information. I don't even know if we need all of this. Yeah. Let's see here.
Basically flexing, but that's okay.
Patriot Front Bot. No, Razor, you are wrong about the organization. They are real far-right Nazis. How dare you say otherwise? Click. Solid super chat, bro. Thank you. Razor, stop being right. It makes everyone look bad. Godspeed.
Usually.
Did you see the Madonna biopic trailer? No, but I think I saw her funeral at Coachella. What about you? Looks like it'll focus on her many facial surgeries. And oh, wait, never mind. It was the trailer for Clayface.
Which, by the way, I'm actually happy to see that it's going to be Matt Hagen Clayface.
Is it?
Yeah, it's not going to be what was the original Ivan something?
Ivan Ooze. Yes. MJ movie got critics seething. Definitely going to see it now. Ooh. Taryn, do we want to talk about that?
We
should do
can.
that. Yes. I think I shot you over that story. Do we have that?
Yes, you did.
Because we kind of, sort of, not really got a little bit of a name drop. Of course, one of my most famous video series is the Michael Jackson rebuttal series. I think it's my only million view video or near million view or whatever. Anyway, it's up there. It's up there in terms of my videos in terms of popularity. And a lot of people have seen it, is my point. I think it got mentioned here. It's definitely probably the most popular Michael Jackson rebuttals on YouTube, I would think. I'm not sure.
Basil Carlo, that was the guy I was thinking of.
Yeah. So this is, I want you guys to keep that in mind. That's not me hand jiving myself. I want you to keep it in mind because something mentioned here is a little bit of a shot at us, I think. So go ahead. People just don't care. Leaving Neverland director, that would be Dan Reed, the bald-headed fuck, on why Michael Jackson won the court of public opinion. 7 years after his...
And the real court. And the real court
on 14 counts. That little formality, despite the entire media being against him, which that is the thing that I was just about to say. This statement is generated from such gobsmacking ignorance. When you consider how rigged the game was against Michael Jackson, both before and after his death. During the trial, dude, I remember Entertainment Tonight doing special edition exposés on here's the prison Michael Jackson's going to be taken to when he's convicted. We're going to take you on a tour of the entire cell block. Guys, this shit, you can look this up. It's on YouTube. This was the press coverage. They were essentially convicting him in the press before his day at trial. And it was funny because it was a tale of two cities. Outside the courtroom, you would have thought Michael Jackson, they were going to lock him up and throw away the key. Inside the courtroom, none of the accusations were landing. Witnesses were admitting they lied under oath. They were backing away. The original accuser from 1992 was refusing to show up in court. The mother of the accuser wound up being an unsympathetic witness. The mother of the new accuser wound up being essentially the star witness for the defense. Like it was the complete contrary of what we were being told in the media at the time. But anyway, keep going, sir.
Absolutely.
It's like how he won the court of public opinion. You have to understand what an Olympian climb it was for him to even win that war. I remember when I dropped those videos, they were not as popular then as they are today. I got a lot of pushback, a lot of shit. People dug into my personal life or my fictionalized personal life and lied about me. They claimed I was pushing 40 back in 2019. Apparently, I'm like in my 70s. But again, they were pissed that I had made any kind of a coherent case for the defense of Michael Jackson, for continuing to listen to his music and not having a conscience encumbered by that because they were simply false allegations. So this was not something that my point is he's trying to portray it as if the game is rigged against him. The truth is this guy got a major distribution deal at HBO. They shilled the shit out of his garbage schlockumentary, his lie-filled, defamation-filled schlockumentary. And he still got boofed because it turns out truth wins the day. Anyway, sorry, continue. I didn't mean to launch into that mini rant.
7 years after his explosive HBO doc, Dan Reed watches Hollywood cash in on a man he calls worse than Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah, sure, buddy. With the biopic Michael, and explains why nobody seems to mind. Oh, it's locked. Why did you set... Oh, my God.
No, just...
Oh, okay. You just have to hit no thanks. Great. Reed was a documentary filmmaker who specialized in terrorism and war. When he detoured,
he was getting... Just before the Michael Jackson documentary, though, he was getting into kind of like a shitty knockoff of To Catch a Predator. Like he was just this side of a tabloid filmmaker at that point. Like this is funny because every time they want to fluff Dan Reed, they're like, he's covered wars, you know, like he's freaking Frank from Dead Rising. Meanwhile, this guy was like, he was like part of the pedophile hunters and what essentially just Chris Hansen, right? And we know Chris Hansen's issues. Anyway, keep going.
It was explosive in other ways entirely. The accusations of child sexual abuse that have followed Michael Jackson since 1993. The result of that was Leaving Neverland, which premiered on HBO in 2019. The harrowing 4-hour documentary. Oh, is it still 4 hours? I thought they kept editing that down.
They kept chopping it down, cutting stuff out after the fact. That was the sketchiest thing about that bullshit.
Oh, yeah.
Once that train story fell apart, he claimed he had been sexually assaulted in a train station that wasn't built until years later. I mean, just disgusting. Absolutely disgusting.
That reminds me, where is Wade Robinson and the Wandering Neverland Band?
Oh, they're pushing ahead. They're pushing ahead with their little lawsuit.
No, I just missed that super chatter.
Right.
The harrowing 4-hour documentary seemed poised to permanently reshape Jackson's legacy. Wade Robson, and James Safechuck's highly detailed accounts of childhood abuse at Jackson's hands were too many viewers impossible to forget. The film won an Emmy. That thing won an Emmy?
Oh, dude, they pushed it so hard. Remember, Oprah sat down with Dan Reed and the accusers. They signal boosted the shit out of this. So this is what's so infuriating about this is the way it's being presented is like he's the underdog. Bitch, you had the entire mainstream media complex on your side and you still got shelled because you lied and you got caught lying. The whole bullshit with the ring. We watched that together, didn't we?
We did. God,
he'd been given a ring, but he had no receipt. There was no indication that he had bought it. There was some store footage of him going into a store with Michael Jackson and a bunch of other people, by the way, but they didn't sell that ring at the store. And the whole thing was absolute nonsense.
It was, I just want to add, it was so boring too.
It was very boring.
We pointed this out.
And the drone footage
documentary, quote unquote, was like 60% drone footage.
Yeah, it was, dude. It would be like 40 minutes of actual interview and 100 minutes of drone footage. Drone footage over Neverland or whatever.
Oh my God, it was so dull.
Yeah.
Like I struggle to watch that shit. The film won with the Jackson estate deriding the decision to honor a complete fiction that is completely one-sided.
Mm-hmm.
But 7 years later, Jackson's streaming numbers are up. MJ the Musical is a Broadway juggernaut, and Lionsgate's Michael, a biopic helmed by Training Day director Antoine Fuqua and starring Jafar Jackson, Jackson's own nephew, as the pop superstar, is tracking to be one of the year's biggest box office hits.
Asking ye shall receive, Taryn. Wade Safechuck and the Wandering Neverland Band.
There he is.
I was misquoted. The train rode me. Godspeed.
Missed ya.
Come on, ride the train. You can ride it. Anyway, continue.
7 years later, Leaving Neverland, meanwhile, has quietly vanished from HBO after a legal settlement with the Jackson estate. See, when you make something really liable like that and defamatory, they remove it.
Well, because what happened was they dropped the documentary ahead of a big legal push by Wade Robson and James Safechuck. They kept changing their stories. They kept changing their stories, and the reason they had to do that is because of statute of limitations. Wade Robson originally had claimed, oh, he became aware of his trauma when he was really, really young. Then that story had to change, because if that was the case, then the statute of limitations would have expired. So he had to concoct this story about going out on a boat trip and having a nervous breakdown and suddenly suppressed memories, which is some soap opera One Life to Live horse shit, by the way. It's not even science. Some suppressed fucking soap opera memories suddenly sprang to mind, and oh my God, I was jungled in the ass by the most famous man in the known universe. Like, suddenly he had to remember that, because that's the only way it would be permissible in court. And a big problem too was, I think the mom wound up having to get in on it with James Safechuck, because the two guys didn't have the same timetable on when they put forward their allegations. So they kept having to change the story of when they became aware that they had been molested, or that they claimed they had been molested, because it's not admissible in court if it's not within a certain time frame. That's what kept happening. I didn't really cover that in my videos, but I really should have, because it was one of the biggest parts of the scam. So they tried to basically help them in that fraudulent legal effort to try and get money out of the MJ estate by releasing the documentary. That's probably what this settlement is about, because essentially they were trying to provoke the Michael Jackson estate. I'm convinced. I think they didn't intend for the documentary to even come out at all. I think they wanted the estate to settle to prevent its release. Yeah. And that's why that's why it's so boring, why it's so shit, and why it's so weak. Anyway, keep going.
Blackmail.
Yeah, it was blackmail. Absolutely.
With Michael set to open on nearly 4,000 screens, Reed called the Hollywood Reporter from the UK to discuss the ethical ramifications behind the blockbuster machinery of music biopics. The Michael Jackson estate had a contract which Jackson had signed with HBO for a concert recording in Budapest in 1992. The contract contained a non-disparagement clause. The estate argued that the non-disparagement clause, which says you can't say anything nasty about Michael, applied forever to everything that HBO would ever do, which is patently ridiculous. Somehow the estate managed to persuade HBO to come to an amicable settlement. And that involved, after 6 years on the platform, leaving Neverland down.
Yeah, I'll tell you exactly what that settlement was about. There were provably false claims in that documentary, which is why you kept editing it. If HBO steps up in defense of that documentary, suddenly they're legally liable if any of that editing was done to try and remove defamatory claims. That's what that was. If they wind up getting convicted of blackmail or something like that, which is probably coming in the future at some point, this is essentially just blackmailing the estate, then HBO would be on the hook for all that. And they don't want that. They don't want that. They'd rather pay a little bit up front and leave it alone. It's totally what that is.
HBO has a license only until 2029. So after that, I can resell it and make it available again. The sequel went out on YouTube in the US, which is pretty unsatisfying.
Yeah.
Walk me through the evolution of your thoughts on Michael Jackson through the making of these films. What have you learned? Who are we talking to here? What is this interview? Is this
Dan Reed?
Dan Reed? Okay.
Explain. As the director of Skeeving Slumberland.
I learned Michael Jackson fucked little boys. Oh my God.
God, he's such a clown. He's just a clown. And it's funny too, because they deliberately try and make the accusations as salacious and disgusting as possible, right? So there's this story I remember that, is it James Safechuck or I think it's James Safechuck, where he describes in detail, oh, Michael bent me over and then he had a flashlight and he shined it on my pert teenage ass and all this creepy shit. And the way that it's being described is they're almost fetishizing it. Like they're fantasizing about it almost. It's absolutely disgusting. And of course, this is intended to shock ultimately. Of course, the problem is it's couched in what? hey, this happened in a train station, and the train station didn't exist. It didn't exist. He couldn't be assaulted by Michael Jackson in a building that didn't exist. And he went into detail too. This isn't like a minor detail. He went in on, we were walking through the train station and we were looking at the trains and we were looking at this. I could tell you exactly what he was doing. He had been in that train station, I'm sure, at some point, but it was later on, probably. So he's describing in detail little bits and bobs so that it can lend credibility to his story. Unfortunately, the timetable does. Again, when people lie about somebody, when somebody invents a false allegation, 9 times out of 10, the thing that nails them to the wall is time and place. Timetable, usually. Anyway, keep going. This is disgusting. That's what I learned. I don't make documentaries about celebrities or pop music of any kind. Anyway, keep going.
I make documentaries about terror attacks and war and stuff. And so as a filmmaker, this was off my usual beat, but I saw it as a chance to make something about child sexual abuse, which I had actually touched on in a previous film.
Interesting word use. But isn't that funny? He like kind of tacitly in passing admits that, hey, by the way, I'm like a shitty British knockoff of Chris Hansen. Oh, hey, by the way. And the people that he teamed up with to do that have their own shitty laundry as well. They're essentially a blackmail firm as it stands. I was skeptical at first because Jackson's so famous and there were so many rumors and so many versions of what could possibly have happened with these children floating around. When I approached Wade and James, I took great care to maintain a kind of skeptical distance, sure, from what they were telling me. But I found their accounts to be... Let's talk about that skeptical distance. At one point in the documentary, you remember when we caught this? I think it was in the second part. Freaking James Safechuck, there was a portion of his interview that was filmed years later.
Yeah. Well, I think you caught it, and then, yeah.
They filmed a bit of it years before that, and then later on, there were some questions about the ring and all that bullshit, and I found the ring, so I'm going to bring it in and do the interview. So here's the emotional distance. Here's the distance that Dan Reed, the director, has. He calls up freaking James Safechuck and says, hey, come down, record the interview. Remember to wear an identical outfit to the one that you wore in our original interview. That's the distance.
We have to describe this properly for the audience. Yes. All right. So Wade Safechuck, it is Wade Safechuck that we're talking about, right? Not the other one?
No. James Safechuck, yes.
James, well, whatever.
The one with the stupid ring, yes.
So during the entire thing, the guy is sitting in a room next to like a plant and whatever, right? When they film this extra scene with him, he has to be wearing the same thing.
Same thing.
You look over at the plant is like, it's like older, it's like grown.
Yeah.
He's got a beard now. He's got like a different kind of haircut. He
tries to match it, and there was something about the background. They like couldn't get the same hotel room or something like that, or whatever the hell it is, but you can tell that it's filmed later. So that's the emotional distance that Dan Reed is. I try to keep a kind of skeptical distance from what they were telling me. He's literally conspiring with the interviewer to help his fallacious court case. Fantastic. Good stuff.
Let's see, where'd you leave off?
But I found their accounts to be so detailed and layered and convincing. And I was able to corroborate a lot of what they said, and also check out records, investigate the police investigation, and read trial transcripts.
And I realized, I could sell this.
He interviews absolutely no one who defended Michael Jackson in court, by the way, except, of course, for Wade Robson, one of the accusers who originally went under oath in 2005 and said, not only was I not touched, but nobody around me ever was. That's another problem with this entire case, is one of the guys literally is under oath saying the exact opposite.
So there was a process of gradual understanding that these guys genuinely had a story to tell, and that they weren't just gold diggers
Yep.
out to sort of create some fraudulent narrative. That they really were who they said they
Oh
were.
my
So I
god.
began by being skeptical and
Yeah.
ended by being sure that sure that what Wade and James had to say had great merit.
Yeah.
Those gold digger accusations still seem to surface a lot.
Well, maybe they
including-
should put down the shovel and stop digging for gold for crying. They're not asking for Malo Cup money. They're asking for millions and millions and millions of dollars, and they've asked for it multiple times, and they keep changing the timetable of their accusations so that they can keep going to court and take. I believe there's some upcoming litigation. They're still heading to some kind of litigation. Wade Robson and James Safechuck.
Including from Antoine Fuqua, who told a New Yorker, sometimes people do some nasty things for some money.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
Where's the
For Antoine Fuqua to accuse
skeptics
people.
also, there you go. Actually, scroll down. Skeptics also point out Robson changed his story. He was defense witness number 1 in 2005, but he realized that he couldn't stay quiet anymore.
So he lied under oath, is what you're saying.
He gave
Okay.
detailed testimony, by the way. And James Safechuck, there are differing stories about whether or not he was willing to testify or not. But James Safechuck, at any rate, did not step up and accuse Michael Jackson of anything in 2005. So we know that much. Although he'd been in love with Jackson, he could no longer defend his abuser. And so the price of coming out is huge. You have to tell your parents you were lying to them. Your whole world comes apart. That's part of what Leaving Neverland is about. When people disclose these things, it shatters their world. And so that's not something that speaking of shattered worlds, his entire story happens after. So Wade Robson's not just a random nobody. He was like the A1 choreographer in the music industry. But he was the A1 choreographer for like boy bands, Christina Aguilera, in short, a bunch of bands that weren't relevant after the year 2004, an entire genre of music that went away. So he went from being a millionaire to getting no money. He sold a shitty reality show. I forget if it was it So You Think You Can Dance or the rival reality show. It was one of those dancing reality shows, not Dancing with the Stars, but one of those, you want to be a backup dancer. It was one of those things. And I think he ultimately got fired from that. And it was only after that, when he's out of money, he reportedly has a really, really bad drug habit too. And he's
Shocking.
off in a yacht that he probably hasn't paid for and is about to be repossessed. And suddenly he turns around. Oh, I was diddled. Michael Jackson estate, please give me some money. And after Michael Jackson's death, by the way, Michael Jackson's death wasn't even a catalyst for him to come forward with this stuff. He wanted to be involved in the This Is It stuff, the last tour that Michael Jackson was going to do. He wanted to be involved in all that. In fact, it was after he was rebuffed, and that's a big speculation, that his ego took a hit when he was turned down for some of that stuff. But anyway, you get the idea, folks. So we won't go through all of this rigmarole. But he says at one point, these sketchy, what does he say? These simplistic rebuttal videos online give people license to listen to Michael Jackson again. So I think it's safe to say Dan Reed is aware of our Michael Jackson rebuttal, which I got some good zingers in on him too. That makes my heart sing.
But there was enough noise online. From
Yes, there we go.
Simplistic debunking videos that people found it easy to give themselves permission to like Michael Jackson's music again if they ever stopped liking it.
Oh my gosh, it's so hilarious.
Turn a deaf ear. Turn a deaf ear. How many fucking times? We're 3, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 actual court cases, and like
All right, here we go. Again, we have to emphasize this before we move on to the next story. Michael Jackson wasn't just like, he didn't skate by the hair of his chinny chin chin in 2005. And the people who claim, oh, there were previous allegations. Why did he pay off the kid in 1993? Right? Why would he do that or whatever? That settlement didn't prevent that kid from cooperating with police. And that was the entire reason that the settlement existed. There were two cases that were concurrent. And per California law, they could put the civil case ahead of the criminal one. So if Michael Jackson defends himself from the civil case, he gives up his defense in the criminal one, and possibly he goes to prison. How does that happen? Because let's say in the civil trial, he says, well, you couldn't have been molested on Tuesday because in Tuesday, I was in Australia. I couldn't have been molesting you. You were in America. I was in Australia. Well, now in the criminal case, they can say, oh, I was in Australia too. Right? They can change the details of their case and they can win the criminal trial. So Michael Jackson's thinking about, I don't want to go to prison. So let's settle this. They can move ahead with their court case and it'll be hunky-dory. I'll fight for my freedom in court. I'll prove that I'm innocent. I'll never have to deal with this again. The family were blackmailers. They took the money, and the moment they spent that cash, they ran. They stopped cooperating with the police because all they ever wanted was money. It was as simple as that. And that's not even an accurate argument. Saying that the 1993 case was somehow more credible than the 2005 case is irrelevant because the 1993 case, thanks to something called 1108 evidence, was admissible in court in 2005. So in 2005, essentially, Michael Jackson was charged for two separate crimes at the same time. They basically, because California is a disgusting legal precedent, they have this 1108 evidence where basically they can prosecute all prior allegations of misconduct. So essentially, they got to try the 1993 case and the 2005 case concurrently. And Michael Jackson not only was exonerated on 14 counts, including 4 lesser misdemeanors, the trial ended early. That's how innocent he was. This isn't debatable, people. This is not debatable. All righty. So let's see here. Say what you will about Madonna's acting career, but I was pleasantly surprised when she played the infamous Punisher villain, Jigsaw. Irony of ironies, the guy who played Jigsaw in the show was a pretty boy. Certainly is held up better in the looks department than Madonna. She looks like a sleepy catfish. Anyone else notice that Cash released the Charlottesville revelations after Virginia's redistricting polls were closed? I don't know what that has to do with anything. I'm not mad at SPLC. I'm mad I did it for free. All right. Tax Brass just made a post showing YouTube thumbnails for his next video, and it's on Fuentes. Also, why can't lolberts stop being political lol cows? I've tried to break down the lolbert phenomenon, what has happened with lolberts, but I think we jumped from libertarian to lolbertarian. We made that transition after Trump showed up. Because Trump is not a libertarian, guys, but he's libertarian-ish on certain issues. There are certain wish list items for libertarians that Trump has managed to force through. So if you were a libertarian who actually wanted to get something done, like Glenn Jacobs being a classic example, the mayor of Knox County, and of course, former professional wrestler, then you would change your party registration from libertarian to Republican. And you would just work from within the Republican Party, try and move them in a slightly more libertarian direction, but otherwise keep consistent with your principles and whatever. So I think what happened is you essentially had a brain drain in the Libertarian Party. Suddenly, the only people who were left in the Big L Libertarian Party were pot-smoking leftists. And so you wind up with that absolute abortion of a political convention where the guy in a thong was dancing and the whole 9 yards. It became an absolute laughingstock. And that's really what's happened to lolberts. All right, Razor, I'm getting tired of always being right. The problem is dealing with the fake right and the finding commies everywhere. Godspeed. Due to the loss of Gondor aid money, I will be retiring the critical orc theory bit, but I'm sure the Gondorian Times will cover in my stead. And my axe. If Fuentes and Hassan Piker need to start a podcast together, they can call it the Molotov Ribbentrop cast. Deep cut. Okay, Cash, you got 1 point. Don't fuck it up. I know. He's got to hit this out of the park a little bit. That does need to be said. It's teed up for him, though. I suspect a lot of this stuff was being investigated, though, even before Trump took office for the second term. The Sperg-Right is one of, if not the reason why we have the censorship we have on YouTube. It was a planned psyop. Even the left liked it back in 2018. It did give them a socially acceptable front to push on. People can say MJ was abnormal, but he wasn't a PDF file. Ever consider having Austin Peterson on here? Yeah, I wouldn't mind having him on. He seems to be one of the few libertarians who hasn't completely lost his mind. He's more in the Glenn Jacobs mold at this point. He and I had some pretty public disagreements years ago, but I think he's been on the libertarian side enough to see where everything's going and isn't liking it.
Was it about the prequels?
Yes. What's the correct way to pronounce Iran? I vote for New Trumpistan. There we are. I vote for Persia. Well, folks, time for me to splurge on a game or two. For the first time in 4 years, I actually got a tax return instead of paying in.
Hey, good shit.
And it seems like every year I get taxed for underpayment. It's never a lot. It's like $20 or whatever, but I always forget to carry the one or something. All right. Is it just me, or is night driving a lot more hazardous these days? No matter where I drive, people either have their retina-burning high beams on, or their cars come with stadium-grade LED headlights. Dude, I think another factor that nobody really talks about, how freaking shitty are the LED street lights now? They don't illuminate anything. They look awful. Like every single highway and freeway did not need to be lit like a Walmart parking lot. Come on, Razor, your simplistic debunking video should have included a physicist explaining how the train station assault would have needed to happen 30 feet in the cold-ass air. That's a good point. Evening, gents. Saw your Striper video. Has the music released since that video been received well? Yes. Striper have been on a tear of fantastic videos. Hey guys, how's it hanging? Still hate all Tanners, Taryn. I still do. What? Can I get Razor to do Tears in Rain as Gold Dust with Tourette's? No. Godspeed. No. Maybe I'll try it on tomorrow night's stream, but Godspeed.
Hashtag not all Tanners.
Yes. He shined a flashlight in my train station. God, that part was so cringe. Then he lifted my ball sack, and what the fuck? Are you describing like molestation or a prostate exam? What is going on? And then he slapped on the rubber glove. Like, what the hell? Topside crisis. Maybe we should reprivatize criminal investigation. And no, I'm not saying that because I work for the Pinkertons. Pinkertons? Leave us alone to grow our mangoes, asshole. DOJ arrested an SF operator on betting on his ops. What's the charge? Front-running an overseas coup d'etat? A succulent Venezuelan coup d'etat? Oh. God, what asshole decided to make Patton Oswalt a thing? Thanks, King of Queens. Thanks a lot. We need a story where the shadow goes after the SPLC, right? All right. 7 Days in May, made 1964. Great movie. Okay. Godspeed. I assume that's a Western from our discussion earlier. If the FBI was shit canned, what would you do with their buildings? Strip malls. I don't know. Amazon warehouses.
Low income housing.
Yeah, who gives a shit? Hey, we could make some more of those racists. Like I said, SPLC, guys, you're doing this the inefficient way. Just send people to the DMV. All right. Have gas prices been dropping in Phoenix for you recently? I just got back from visiting my best friend and it was $3.21. Last week was $3.89 here. Yeah, they have been a little bit. It never in Phoenix got that crazy. I really do feel like the gas prices narrative was a little bit pre-existing, is like certain people were champing at the bit to talk about how gas prices were up and it's unaffordable. And in some places in the country, it was indeed. But I never felt like how intense the rhetoric was quite matched the prices. I guess I just still remember $6 and $7 gas under George W. Bush. Like I'm still traumatized from that shit. And it never got there. It never got even halfway there here. And Razor, going to see Michael tomorrow with my parents. But here's a question. How do you find the drive to continue working on a comic? I get it done really quick. That's how I do it. I do an end run. I've said the best writing advice you can get is keep writing until it's done. You can fix it later. There's nothing you can't fix later. You fix it in post, okay? Just get the damn thing. Make a mad dash from beginning, middle to end, and don't stop until it's finished. I do that with all my books. If it's taken too long, I probably need to start over and do a new story. All right. Are the razor fists silver? On his hand, I mean. So he'd have a hand with silver on it. A silver hand, if you will. I see what you did there, I think. I'm squinting. Razor silver fist in our ears and heads win. Godspeed. Hopefully my voice acting isn't that bad. Maybe we could have Yongye on to give me some lessons. Yeah. Johnny Silverhand is a whiny bum. I hate that trope, dude. I hate that voice in the head monologue trope. Freaking Bloodlines 2.
It's lazy. It's so lazy. I hate it.
You know, and it's terrible because they don't know how to write a main character who's relatable. So Here, let me write an outside character who's not a retard. But half the time, that character's annoying. Drives me crazy, dude. I remember Tim Wallace's one man's socialism is another man's neighborly. Yeah, definitely. The mass hangings in Poland, those were a mighty neighborly affair. Absolutely. Stalin's purges. Oh, what's a Stalin purge between neighbors? It's like borrowing sugar. Tim Pool, in order to win this case of $1 million, you must admit you were wrong about one take. Tim Pool sweats profusely. That's probably just the beanie, though. All right. What positive male instinct or attractions are even left anymore in popular consensus? It seems anything protective or yearning is to be hated. Yeah, it seems like anything that would have been just considered normal male behavior in, say, the late 90s, in terms of how you relate to your girlfriend or wife, in terms of how you relate to your kids or your community or whatever, all of that has been demonized to the extent that, fortunately, it's turning around now a little bit. But ghost hunters always find ghosts which don't exist, right? Mostly they just stand there with the night vision on and the camera aimed up their nose and act scared at random air conditioner noises.
Yep. You just described like 90% of
all of them, dude. All of them. I think Trump says he's not doing anything about housing until midterms are over, so boomers don't vote for Dems. Right? Well, you know, if he gets rid of the FBI, he'll have some free real estate open. The great Scalzini, thoughts on the idea the Iran conflict isn't about Iran or China, but rather to weaken the city of London cabal. That may be a factor, but I think it's mostly Iran and China. All right. Normal man, monarchists are such obnoxious people, such fucking LARPers that know nothing about history. And when you combine that with Tradcat LARPers, you get a level of obnoxious that needs a hazard. Godspeed. You said it, not me. Speaking of, I remember you said you had a second new archives recorded after the Phantom Lady vid. It's been a while. Where is it? I'm dying here. I do actually have one. I just haven't edited it. It's funny. I have the project and everything. I just haven't put it together yet. All right. I have a question I'd like to ask you, but it may be long and I don't want to disrupt the stream, but is there an email I can send to or something like that? I'm happy to send the chats if you would prefer. Facebook, actually. If you go to our Facebook page, facebook.com/Rageaholic Rules, you can just DM me there. It's fine. Ask me any question. Hey, Razor just graduated Navy Basic last Thursday. Also, the irony of China sending bomb supplies to Iran and getting caught with hands as red as their flag is crazy. Also, you mean I've been racist for free this entire time? Why wouldn't you want to be racist for love of the game, my man? Do you think the crayon eaters are bought by the SPLC, or are they just a bunch of dumb limeys? It's a good question. I love the word limey so much. I love it. Anyone bring up the fact that Cash seemingly waited until after the... Yeah, somebody already did. Somebody already did. Thoughts on the California governor's race and your opinion on GOP candidates Steve Hilton and Sheriff Chad Bianco. The time for the GOP to win is now. I do see people rallying around Steve Hilton. I don't like his chances with how they've rigged the California electoral system. I mean, they're just completely mask off on rigging their elections out there, which is wild because there's so many Democrats already in California. You wouldn't think they would need to rig their elections that hard. Really gets the noggin jogging, don't it? All right, it's a day that ends in Y. Fuentes supports the Democrats. May his support be forever radioactive. If Nick actually supported his platform, he'd have a large family by now. Well, I've never seen anyone get pregnant via the ass. First SPLC goes down. Now time for the ACLU. All right. Hey, FYI, Jeremy, D-Day Cobra, played your SPLC video last night. Told everyone to sub in case you've seen a sub spy. Oh, Godspeed. Glad to hear it. I heard Nerdrotic dug it too. He reached out, so I appreciate it, you guys. All right. Jokes aside, I am addicted to the Shadow Radio. Godspeed. Idea Razor. Liberal Cardona argues with the Shadow. Well, he is a New York Italian. And we'll do one more, and then we'll jump into the next and last story, apart from everyone's favorite segment of the podcast. Are you looking forward to Thick as Thieves? Yes. While it's not the Thief sequel we all hoped for from War Inspector, at least it's something. I agree. The last game that War Inspector worked on a little bit was Underworld Ascendant, which I enjoyed. I didn't understand the hate. I understand when it launched, it was pretty busted, but they patched it and it's a lot more playable. And I really, really like that game. So I'm looking forward to it.
We should get a couple more Rumble rants out too before we move on. Mercenary X, okay. How much you want to bet that the Southern Poverty Law Center has been orchestrating all this under the orders of the CIA and Deep State? Ultros. Nick Shirley seems like he unleashed an interest in fraud exposure. Now with this hate group nonsense, what's another fraud you think should get exposed that hasn't yet?
They touched on it a little bit already, I think. Public school fraud and its connection to illegal immigration. The amount of illegal alien kids who are essentially on a form of welfare through programs connected to public schools. So essentially, we're subsidizing these people coming and going. Their whole family's on welfare because they've got stolen, identity theft and illegal immigration go hand in hand. That's another thing I'd like to see them talk about a little bit. But they're already on welfare. Then the kids get a separate form of welfare thanks to all these public school programs. Free lunch, they get clothed, they get free breakfast, lunch, and dinner. They actually have Meals on Wheels programs connected to the schools that send money over there. So these people are essentially completely subsidized in a way that an American citizen, even one on welfare, will never be. I touched on that a little bit in my Why We Need the Wall video, but I didn't go into great detail on it. One of these days, dude, we need to dedicate an offensive just to the illegal immigration issue, talking about, each individual category, how much it costs on this side of the border and how it affects Mexico on the other side of the border. Because I've seen both. I've been on both sides of the border. So is Hobo, incidentally, if he joins us. We've both been over to Mexico, and he's been to a couple of places south of the border that I haven't been to, actually, on volunteer work. So it'd be interesting to get some of that. You got more?
We'll do a couple more.
Okay.
Aurora, thank you for the combined 20. I wish I was governor of Cali. I'd have National Guard and state troops march in a line from the Oregon border to the Mexico border to grab every single non-city and kick out of home.
Non-citizen, I assume.
Non-citizen, yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I hate YouTube.
Whoa, slow down there, Bill Clinton.
I hate YouTube and their censorship. Can
Yeah.
you guys focus on Rumbles more? Because I can't ask questions and say what I want to say on YouTube. I
No,
hate
you
it so much, like my previous rant.
Well, it
No, I
seems like you still had to censor your your message there on Rumble for some reason.
No, that sounds more like just limitation.
No.
Character limitation. Yeah, let's move on. What is our
Become
next?
racist the old-fashioned way. Work retail or food. There you go. I told you the story about the almost jumping the counter on that person at GameStop. Good times working with the public, folks. Good times. You want to do one more?
Oh, certainly. Ultros, people are defending Walsh in your post about him. Is the defense with him because people appreciate his What is a Woman movie and what it did for turning against trans issue?
Every time I point out that Matt Walsh just kind of flits from one popular position to another, I always get pushback because there's a little bit of a cult of personality around him. It's the same thing whenever I shat on Tucker. How did that position age? I think in the longer run, Matt Walsh proves himself to be a clown. I've been pretty consistent on it. I don't really care for him. I don't think his analysis is any great shakes. I don't think his podcast is any great shakes. And he doesn't have a chin. He grows a beard to camouflage it. That's apropos of nothing. It's just I wish more people would point that out. If you ever see a picture of him without his freaking beard, it's wild. I recall Razor saying Fuentes should be careful lest he go the way of Richard Spencer, but Fuentes got to start at Charlottesville. Being controlled opposition was always part of the plan for him. I think anything that glorifies him is part of the plan for him. I tried to warn last year when the media all in unison started writing fluff pieces on Fuentes. And it was funny because you could tell it was AstroTurf because at the time, Fuentes was kind of down for the count. He had just done the Kanye thing. He actually got less popular after the Kanye thing. How the hell does that happen, by the way? You pal around with the most famous rapper in the world and you get less popular. I don't know. I guess just having an absolute poison personality will tend to do that. So he was kind of on the ropes a little bit, just a little bit of a nadir. And then the media all decides to rally around him and signal boost him. Why? Because we're heading into midterms. And I tried to point out, I think it was on my Vampire the Masquerade Bloodline stream. Like, hey, like if Nick's smart, if he's circumspect at all, he'll recognize what they're trying to do. And he'll try to step back from the precedent because they're using him. They're using him. They need him to be the Richard Spencer this election cycle. In the short term, he's going to make all kinds of money. He's going to be more relevant than he's ever been, more famous than he's ever been in his entire life. And then after that, he's going to be relegated to the dustbin the same way they did with Richard Spencer. Richard Spencer went away. And Richard Spencer, guys, people forget how big he was. He was bigger than Fuentes is now by a lot. He was on CNN all the time and whatever. Like, dude, he was all over the place. People forget all that shit. It really can be a precipitous plummet, and it can happen real quick. So I've warned that. I am under no illusions. He's smart enough to actually take that advice. But
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang.
I did not mean to. I accidentally hit a clip I didn't mean to hit.
What the hell was that?
It was a Kimmel clip. I forget what that even was. It was for from a previous podcast. We had to play that clip. All right. This is the last story, guys. Eric Swalwell, who we didn't even talk about today, but I mean, everybody else has kind of talked out the subject, so whatever. We got another Swalwell, bro, and they've got tits. Well, bigger tits than Eric Swalwell, anyway.
4 women accused lesbian Dem running for Congress of unwanted sexual advances.
Lesbian. The real story is she didn't beat him.
Salt Lake City. Wow. Surprise.
Right. Hey, you can't sexually harass every woman in Utah. What do you think you are, Brigham Young? What the fuck?
4 women have now come forward to allege a Utah Democrat running for Congress made unwanted advances of a sexual nature. Democrat Eva Lopez Chavez, Miranda Costa de la Hoya Cardenal.
She probably insists on having the middle name there so she can be a little AOC. What do you want to bet, dude?
Oh,
what
no.
do you want to bet
100%.
they focus tested that shit?
Is a Salt Lake City councilwoman running in her party's primary to represent the 1st Congressional District of Utah. The accusations include that she restrained the women while making unwanted sexual advances.
Restrained? What?
So
there was a little bit of a physical violence. Well, lesbian. I wish I could say I was surprised, but it's
alleged the incidents occurred before Lopez Chavez joined the city council in 2023. 3 of the women who came forward currently hold elective office, including one
sitting politicians, and these are Democrat politicians, I assume.
Including one who serves on the city council with Chavez, the Salt Lake Tribune reported.
Oh,
if a man had done
lesbian abuse, now I've seen everything. What the hell? Dude, gays get a flag, trans gets a flag. If lesbians had a flag, it'd be a picture of a blonde chick with a black eye. That'd be. And hey, you could reuse it for black men. Anyway, sorry. Spicy stream tonight.
Yeah.
Why do you think the BLM flag is a giant black clenched fist? Keep going. Sorry.
Please. Oh my God.
We are so going to get monetized.
If a man had done that to me, would there be a question if it was assault or not? Democrat Salt Lake City Councilwoman Victoria Petro said to the Tribune. Petro said that Lopez Chavez, an out lesbian who describes herself as a queer Latina, pushed her against a wall during a September 2022 party and told her the only reason I still fuck men is because a woman hasn't shown me what I really want. Holy shit.
Holy shit. Jesus. I would have voted for this chick.
Democrat Utah Senator Jen Plum said she initially dismissed a November 2022 incident when Lopez Chavez pushed her against the wall and asked if she was sure she wasn't attracted to women. I've got to do some work on why I saw it that way, but I would not be comfortable with someone doing that to my daughter, to my mom, to my best friends, and I am not comfortable with it being brushed away anymore.
Oh my gosh. Did they say what did they say what party? Okay, yeah, these are Democrat state senators.
Yep.
These are not coming from Republican opposition. These are Democrats.
Other Democrats are calling her out. Bro. That's crazy. Utah
it's
State
funny
Rep.
Because there's been a lot made of course, we're kind of talking about it today a little bit, the Sperg-Right kind of civil war or whatever. And it's true, dude. Republicans are anticipatory of any chance to fight with each other. We're all cognizant of this fact. But the Democrats, man, they enforce lockstep like at gunpoint. You step out of line. Shit, we just referenced Swalwell. It was perfectly copacetic for him to get poon from a Chinese spy, right? They were happy to carry his water and cover that shit. They swept it right under the rug. But he steps out of line and runs in a governor's race where it's not his turn to run. Oops, suddenly the allegations come right back out of the floorboards and suddenly he's got to resign. Dude, the Democrats, they rule with an iron fist. What do you want to bet there's a power component to this as well? She did.
There has to be, right?
Yeah, she jumped out of the picket line or something. This chick pissed off someone in Democrat leadership.
Let's see. State Rep Huang Nguyen, who also runs a medical cannabis company and works in an investment group, recounted a 2020. Wow, this all happened in 2022.
Yeah.
Incident in which she and Lopez Chavez were departing from a campaign event for Plum. Lopez Chavez asked Nguyen for a ride to her car before asking Nguyen to pull over. The state lawmaker told the Tribune, "Next thing I know, she has leaned over and she's on top of me, holding my shoulders down. I said, 'What are you doing?' And she said, 'Kiss me.' She said, 'I'm not going to get off you until you kiss me.'" Holy shit.
What? Dude? The hell?
My God. Why did they wait so long? It's 2026.
Oh, it's freaking Congresswoman Glenn Close. What the shit? This is nuts. This is absolutely nuts.
A fourth woman, Maggie Regier, said Lopez Chavez had to be pulled off her during a 2019 fundraiser for a human rights campaign, noting that she had
rights campaign, man.
Had been flirty and was leading her around before Regier was pushed against the wall. A friend of Regier's separated the two, and Regier has since moved away from Utah. If she wants to run for Congress, then she needs to be held to a behavioral standard.
Yeah, a non-rapey behavioral standard. I think that's like step one, maybe? Just like kind of bare minimum. No raping. Listen.
Real question is, how does someone like this get away with it for so long?
I mean, look at her. She's not an ugly woman. She's probably gotten away with a lot just because of how she looks. It's kind of the old Hello Human Resources cartoon meme where when the handsome guy goes, "Hey, Susan, looking good today," she's like, "Oh, it's fantastic." When fat balding guy from the same office says, "Hey, Susan, you're looking good today," she's like, "Hello, human race." It's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. All right. Yeah, so what the hell's going on in Utah? Dude.
Well, at least they're cleaning up.
I guess a little bit. She 100%, I guarantee you though, she ran afoul of someone in party leadership. That's the only explanation for why that would even, especially for how so many different sitting Democrat politicians would come out all at once. This all gets swept under the rug if she's playing ball with the party. That would be my guess. But so all this was a big gaslight in the words of the late, great Gilbert Gottfried. "Oh, there's a big surprise. That's incredible. I think I'm going to have a heart attack and die from that surprise." Godspeed. I miss Gilbert.
God, I miss Gilbert. Yeah.
Did you watch the documentary on him?
No.
It's actually good. They talked to like his wife, and dude, he had like a normal wife and kids, and it was weird. It's really weird seeing Gilbert Gottfried interact with this woman who loves him to pieces, and it's a good documentary actually. And it was sad because his sister was dying of cancer or something at the time. I think she wound up passing away ultimately. And they interview her and all that stuff. And of course, Gilbert would die very shortly after that. It's very sad. Gavin stepped back after the New York 9 fight. Speed. Just a reminder that the Colbert-produced Our Cartoon President mocked the Clintons, Obamas, and the media in 3 years, more than South Park has in almost 30. Isn't it interesting? Isn't that interesting? Do you think we'll find donations from David Hogg to the NRA, or Al Capone to prohibition groups, or Greta Thunberg to the Benjamin Netanyahu Political Action Committee? How dare you? How dare you? You've stolen my super chat with your empty words. In Utah, cultists gonna cult. Godspeed. That's one spicy chalupa. Ah! Godspeed, bro. Godspeed. I'm not reading that one out and validating your fetish, but you ruined me, Razor. I keep calling Jimmy Safechuck Gimme Safe Cuck thanks to your MJ defense. I do what I can. I love revisiting them every now and then. Godspeed. Godspeed, sir. And there was a fourth one that I really wanted to do. I pretty much had it done. Maybe when this next round of court cases is kind of in the thick of it, I'll release that because I pretty much got an outline done. I just haven't recorded it yet. Have you considered doing a dedicated Iran video explaining why it's in our interest? Some people just don't get it. They can't get over wars for Israel. It may come to that. I mean, one of the reasons I haven't done it is like the long version of this war within the administration was maybe 2 months. You know what I mean? Like they weren't exactly panning out for it to be that long. So by the time I got a video out, yeah, some people might be interested in it, but it might have been over. Can we place bets on if her nails are fake? Right. Is this smut or a news article? I'm having mixed emotions right now. You and me both. I'm sorry to announce, but the lesbians do have a flag. But honestly, yeah, the WNBA flag. The fact that the LGBTQ movement have flags for each group, and given how flags are used for politics, what does that say about them, right? I want to shout out both Matt Morse and Vince Dow. Both guys cottoned onto the China angle in the Iran war early on and flatly reject the black pill. Either one might be a solid guest for the offensive. I'll keep that in mind. Godspeed, dude. I have an uncle who said the most annoying people to deal with are old white men. It took everything I had not to tell him that he'd clearly never dealt with an old Asian woman in retail before. Older Mexican ladies. Like abuelas. So they're wonderful to their grandkids. They are a holy terror to everyone else. No, Razor, you have to hate yourself, your family, your nation, your people, and your history. Otherwise, how will we convince you to give up? Thank you for setting me straight, sir. Any chance of a metal music mythos on Meatloaf? One of the best-selling musicians of all time, with so few albums. I will do anything for love. But I won't do that. There we are. I won't. I don't really like Meatloaf's music that much. I mean, here and there, I like a song here or there, but okay, what's your favorite mech, book, faction, and game from BattleTech? Also, which universe, BattleTech, Mass Effect, or Warhammer would you live in? I would probably, well, shit. If the Reapers weren't coming, I'd probably prefer Mass Effect because it's all shiny and clean and nice and looks kind of cool and sci-fi and get to live on the space station with the freaking arcology vibe and all that. It's like being in a giant intergalactic dentist's office. I dig it. I like it.
One of the things I truly regret about the Mass Effect series is the Citadel is so big and we never get to really explore it.
And it gets
like
smaller.
In the first game, it's smaller and smaller with every single game.
Dude,
the first game is the biggest it's ever going to be.
You never played 3. 3's even worse.
It's like a room, right?
It's like loading zones between different, like it's literally, hey, do you want to jump in an elevator and go to zone? And the zone is like a room and 2 rooms off to the side. That's what all of them are. And maybe a hallway here and there. That's it. That's what the Citadel is in the third game. It's dog shit. It's terrible. Of all the things they ruined in Mass Effect 3, what they did to the Citadel was a war crime. Compared to Mass Effect 1, it was just an embarrassment. And my favorite mech is the Mauler. My favorite book in the Battletech series is probably Ideal War. My favorite faction is House Merrick. And my favorite game from Battletech, that's a tough one, actually. It's probably Mech Warrior 4 Vengeance. Not Mercenaries, but Vengeance. I love that game so much. All right. Razor, say Air Force is the best branch. Air Force is the best branch. I almost joined it. I had a freaking recruiter up my ass senior year because I took that damn ASVAB. My friend wanted to take it, so I took it with him. Referring to my super chat last week, Taryn Enwa, I wasn't trying to get you to sing my ghetto version of Purple Rain, Purple Drank. I just wanted you to read it because it was funny. All right, so I guess the party switched back. Godspeed. Hey, if these foreign leftist subversive billionaires insist on being subversive in our country, they fly private. We can spoof GPS, and the ocean is a big place. Seems like a solvable problem. I didn't say it out loud. Speaking of foreign subversives,
Taryn,
is it time?
It that time? Is it?
Is it?
It might just be.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, what the hell are you doing here? It's time for your favorite moment, my favorite moment, the game show sensation that's sweeping the nation. The Hassan Piker is a fucking retard minute.
When you press a button, something awesome has to happen.
Christ, what are you doing? You're being such a baby.
Oh, here we go.
So Hassan's been making the rounds, doing a lot of interviews, this time with the New York Times. And he
Speaking
explains
of people being astroturfed.
Well, let's not beat around the bush. He's just straight out, rationalizing Luigi Mangione's killing here.
Celebrating it, cheering it on.
Let's listen, won't we?
Engels wrote about the concept of social murder. And Brian Thompson, as the United Healthcare CEO, was engaging in a tremendous amount of social murder, the systematized forms of violence,
social murder,
the structural violence of poverty, the for-profit paywalled system of healthcare in this country, and the consequences of that are tremendous amounts of pain, tremendous amounts of violence, tremendous amounts of deaths. And that was a fascinating story for me, because Americans are very draconian about crime and punishment. They're very black and white on this issue. And yet, because of the pervasive pain that the private healthcare system had created for the average American, I saw so many people immediately understand.
Did Hassan support Barack Obama?
Oh, God, I don't know.
What's our current health care? He's talking about this in abstractions, as if America didn't have a healthcare system until Donald Trump was elected until 2016. What did your fucking party do to healthcare in the year 2010, asshat? Our healthcare system is a function of Obamacare. I've said this a million times. We didn't have a perfect healthcare system before 2010, but there isn't a single appreciable respect in which our healthcare system in 2007, the last year we had no inkling of Obamacare, was not superior to after. Not a single way. In terms of price, in terms of quality, in terms of availability, there isn't one way that healthcare was not superior. And people like Hassan Piker are the reason why that condition was reversed. Am I telling lies, Taryn?
No. And this whole thing about I always tell social murder.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No. It's just it's so upsetting just to hear the whole concept of social murder. This person works for this company, and they're not giving away free shit. Therefore, they're committing murder, and they need to what the fuck?
Obamacare was a kind of organized theft anyways. right? So this is a situation where they create a problem, then they say, "Oh, the system's broken." Yeah, bitch, you broke it. The solution to that, of course, is to go back to a time when it wasn't as broken. I would say a baseline would be 2007. It wasn't perfect, but it was better in every single category than what we have now. Literally, the only category where healthcare is superior today is that more people have it. No shit, Sherlock, more people have it. You fine them if they don't. That's the only category where healthcare has improved. It's more expensive. It's shittier. Doctors are dumber. More people are hooked on prescriptions, and there's more incentive for your doctors to push those prescriptions. Rather, I always mix up. I have that freaking disorder where I mix up subscription and prescription. But yes, that entire thing, that entire cottage industry, is an outgrowth of that interference in our healthcare system. And again, if we rolled that back to 2007, we could decide what to do after that. This is why I've always opposed one of the things, like of all the things that I disagree with Trump about, the big thing is probably his big repeal and replace. Cut that statement in half, champ, and I'm with you. I'm all in on repeal. Fuck replace. Fuck replace. When you cut out a cancer, what do you replace it with?
More cancer, obviously.
Obviously. Is there more to this? Does he have any? Well, what brilliantine insight does he cap this off with?
He's only got 4 seconds left.
Yes, these are a valuable 4 seconds, Taryn. We've got to get all this.
Immediately understand why this death had taken place.
So he is equating the physical bullet through the head murder of the CEO to the systematized healthcare murder of the system that he represented, which Hassan Piker's party and the Young Turks and the entire leftist establishment all supported and were all in on when during the advent of Obamacare. Am I getting this summary roughly correct?
And this interview went on for a bit. He said a lot of other stupid shit. I don't know if you want to go over it. There was one other video we could watch, but I don't know how much more you want to do.
Go ahead.
Sure.
We could squeeze a little more into the Hassan Piker's a fucking retard minute. Oh, Zach's reacting to it.
They steal quite a bit more from their own workers.
If everybody stole from the corporations, then they wouldn't work. Like, how could you be pro stealing? Like, if people stole from the then they wouldn't be. How?
Run up to this clip. Hassan just said it's okay. Pretty much, I'm summarizing here. It's okay to steal from stores and shit like a Whole Foods and shit like that.
How could you run a business if people keep stealing the stuff out of the business?
Because that's
I don't understand. Like,
I think Zach is still being too charitable to them. That's what they want. They don't want for that business to exist. They want for the state to be the business.
Yeah.
They want for there to be no distinction and separation between corporation and the state. Anyway, continue. And of course,
how is the
corporation? This is a crucial distinctive here. Corporation is a transitory state, especially monopolistic corporation is a transitory statement between what Karl Marx pejoratively describes as capitalism, which is in fact the absence of a regulatory system, and the, ultimate authoritarian regulatory system of communistic government and economics, right? So if you have corporations, if you have monopolistic corporations, avaricious corporations, you are in fact in the transitional state between a deregulated, capitalism, whatever Marx called it, and communism. You've already begun to make that transition to that statist endgame. Keep going.
It's not sustainable.
So it's actually factored in. The lemons that you stole are factored into the bottom line of these mega corporations, regardless.
And what happens when it gets factored into the bottom line is then that the costs get offset back onto the consumer. This is so only a retard could have this opinion. No
communist
normal
retard, potato.
person could have this. And you have to be like an advanced retard to think like this. And you have to keep in mind
a super retard, even
yes.
This is
like
very
it's like the
because-
murder hornet version of a retard.
Oh yeah. The Africanized,
Africanized retard. You're saying?
Yeah.
Aaron, what do you mean by that?
No, nothing. Absolutely.
What do you mean
not.
by that?
Those bees were just mean because of economic factors.
Right. They had been oppressed. It was systemic oppression that turned the Africanized bees murderous.
Yes, that's why they were killer bees. They held their stingers sideways.
Yeah.
Hassan, as we all know, grew up as a rich boy. He did. He grew up like a rich boy, and he
Like
was
most commies.
riding around on horses, playing polo. Oh, look at me. I'm a good boy with my special hat. There are a lot of people that do steal for necessity. But when you're stealing makeup, you're not doing it for necessity. When you're stealing potato chips, you're not doing it for necessity.
Oh, yeah.
When you're stealing shoes
Pause for a second. Go into a Walgreens if you want to test Zach's hypothesis here. Go into a Walgreens. Dude, my jaw hits the floor every single time. I have to get my dog's medication for valley fever at Walgreens. Believe it or not, I guess they carry pep medication. And every time I go in, dude, more and more shit is locked behind glass.
Yeah, a lot of the hair products too.
And it's
isn't that funny?
The biggest section that's behind glass, cosmetics. It's bullshit that you don't need. These people are not stealing apples. Like, this is not fucking Aladdin, dude. It's not the street rat is not stealing an apple so he can fill his empty belly. Shut the fuck up. These are people stealing eyeliner and blush.
Yeah.
Right? This isn't necessity.
Everyone just starts stealing wantonly from the self-checkout machines. Whole Foods will eventually raise the prices.
Yeah, chaos, full chaos. Let's go. I mean, look, I'm in favor.
Well, no, that's not what would happen. They're just going to have a police guard that stands there next to the self-checkout, and then they watch you scan the items. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
It's not going to be full chaos. It's not going to be a run on Whole Foods. And then you pay that police guard, and now the food costs more because they have to pay the guard.
Yep.
Like, that's not even how it works. It's like it's very one-dimensional in its thinking because,
dude, he's overselling it here. It's not one-dimensional. It's none-dimensional. This isn't even rising to the level of basic economics. He doesn't even understand causal relationships in economics. He's absolutely on the ball with that. That the price just increases, and who suffers for that? The poor. The poor. Just every communist solution leads to more suffering for the poor. And why? Because communist revolutions are never pushed by the poor. Why is that? All the Bolsheviks came from academia, for crying out loud. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, we must champion the cause of the poor.
Yep.
And not ask the poor for their permission or their opinions.
The formula for can I give you the formula for a successful communist revolution? It's a bunch of eggheads in academia seizing on the distrust or disquietudes of some kind of agrarian class, right? Some sort of slave class, pleb class, whatever. If they can find a way to manipulate them, in the case of the Bolsheviks, it was the kulakization, right, of the agriculture system in the Soviet Union, then they can have a successful communist revolution. They can actually wind up seizing the levers of power. But it's never the poor who spearhead the communist revolutions. Never. It's always top down because they always intend to appoint themselves dictators. There's always there's this falsehood that we're transitioning to communism, so we've got to have the dictatorship of the proletariat now, but eventually we'll transition to communism. But what eventually happens? In real life, what happened is Stalin later declared, oh, we've now reached communism. And he was still the dictator. Nobody removed Stalin from power. In fact, if anything, he got more iron-fisted after that. Keep going. This is interesting stuff.
The company is just going to say, I guess we lose. No, they're going to put different little stickers on it. They're going to put beepers on it. They're going to lock it up. They're going to have different things. Like, for example, at the Walmart that I'm near, I had to have the employee, I went to buy underwear at Walmart, and she made me
what do you want to
tell her which
can
underwear I want.
Can I just speculate that he pretty much just wears the underwear until it dissolves and then buys a new package? Just speculating here.
Wanted. She wouldn't let me touch it. And then I said I wanted to check out, and she hand carried the underwear from the the underwear section to the fucking cashier, and they gave it to the cashier. It was like, I mean, I'm in my 30s now, so like it wasn't embarrassing, but like if I was like 16, I would have been mortified by this, right? And so it's wild, exactly. And so why? Because they don't want people to steal it, because people keep stealing it. So what you're really advocating for is you're advocating for basically Walmarts to be turned into minimum security prisons.
Yeah. They're minimum security prisons for products. The products are behind bars. They're serving time. And of course, what does that do too? It drives down sales. Do you have any idea how many times I've been in a Walgreens and I've been going to grab my dog's prescription, like I said, and I'm walking up the aisles and I'm like, oh, I could use that. It's behind glass. It's not worth it. I'll just order it somewhere. I'll just get
Yep,
it.
and
Like,
that hurts their costs, and prices go up more. And
yep, and who suffers? Once again, who suffers? Not the Hassan Piker millionaire champagne socialist Lexus liberal class. No. Keep going.
In a low trust society, everybody doesn't just get Walmarts, and they just give out food for free. No, they have everything behind glass cases. They have police guards there. They have armed guards. They have people watching you. They have everything. So the entire premise of this is just completely misguided. And if Hassan went to Walmarts, if he went to places that were poor, and if he grew up poor and he received food stamps and he went to food banks, he would know all of these things. And you would know this. This is what this panel is it's three upper middle class or upper class liberals that are basically circle jerking each other for stealing lemons from Wendy's or Walmart or Whole Foods. It's pathetic. It's absolutely pathetic.
And two of those policies, the mayor of this beautiful city is currently working on.
Would you encourage stealing in the same way from a Mamdani-run city-owned grocery store with lower prices, and why?
I would not, because I feel like that's taxpayer funded, and the prices are.
Didn't you already pay for it? I mean, how is it stealing if you already paid for it? I mean, see, this is the problem with this ideology, is that it's. You can't allow somebody to use their own internal reasoning to justify when it's okay for them to do something bad.
No.
It's impossible. Basically, I've decided based off of three intangible, subjective things that it's okay to break the law. No, the world can't work that way. All of this is common sense. I think we need to treat these thieves more harshly. I do. I think I want to see people that are stealing lemons.
Do you have any idea how many? And again, ground zero to observe this phenomenon is freaking Walgreens, CVS. It's those kind of stores where you see this, because dude, shoplifting is just out of control at these places.
Yeah,
I've literally been standing there paying for my shit and watched a dude just walk over to an aisle, grab an armload of stuff, and walk out while the shit's beeping. And, the freaking cashier, it's just some, teenager or 20 something, maybe their first job, maybe their second. They don't want to get shot behind some freaking eye makeup or whatever. So they don't even, sometimes they don't even speak up. You feel bad for them. It's just, dude, this is observable. Anyway, keep going.
that are stealing lemons, I want to see them get tackled, thrown to the ground, handcuffed, hog-tied, and dragged into the police vehicle. I am so sick of these animals ruining my society.
Can I tell you a great
used to have
story?
a country. And now we have a bunch of fat liberal. And by the way, any of those women on the panel would not even dream of stealing. They would be mortified at the idea of it. They would be terrified of this. They're all LARPing so they can virtue signal to their retard audience. None of the people doing this, Hassan's not stealing things. He's not even going to the store. He's probably having it delivered. So it's not even a possibility that it's happening in the first place. So these people are basically, they're writing checks that you have to cash. Now it's you that's the one that's affected.
Yeah. Can I tell you a story? Speaking of treating criminals more harshly, shoplifters more harshly. So my first job, let me tell you about my first job. It was at Tower Records, right? And we employed, because record stores then as now, magnets for shoplifting. Because it's, kind of high markup. There's a big resale market. People can turn around, sell them to thrift stores or secondhand record stores, whatever. So it's a target for shoplifters. And we sold a lot of stuff, merchandise, whatever. So we had, by the time I got hired there, and this was the waning days of Tower Records, this was like the last 2 years it was in business, maybe. We had this huge Sudanese security guard. Huge. This guy was like almost 7 foot. His name was Abraham. Freaking great dude. I would just cut it up with the guy, chop it up with the guy. I mean, God, my urban dictionary needs to be updated. But me and Abraham would just shoot the shit all the day long. And he was a great dude. So one day, these two dudes come in, Mexican guy, little shrimpy white guy. And they're acting real suspicious right from the beginning. I was just like, this is kind of weird. I'm working the cash register at this time. And Tower's about to go out of business. So, I'm pretty much the only guy on shift aside from the security guard. So what am I supposed to do? So one of them goes over there. He's acting real sketchy. Another one goes to the rap section. He's acting real sketchy. They're kind of whispering to each other. And then one would go to the other side. You could just tell something was about to pop off. You could just tell. And so they come up with stacks of CDs. And one of them walks up. He's got this huge stack. The Mexican kid walks up. And he's walking right up to the cash register like he's going to check out. And his little shrimpy white friend looked like Eminem, like an even shorter version of Eminem. He had armloads of CDs. And he walks closer to the door. And his friend kind of looks back at him and goes, "So what are you going to do, man?" Like whatever they had talked about. And he turns back and he goes, "I think I'm just going to bounce." And he charges out the door. I don't even think he saw Abraham standing there because Abraham was a big dude. There was kind of an alcove off to the side and he would just stand off to the side. I don't think they even saw him. This Sudanese giant goes charging. Essentially, Kamala, the Ugandan giant, goes charging out at him. And I'm a retard. This is my first job. I don't know. You're not supposed to leave the cash register. You're not supposed to. And it wasn't open. I didn't abandon anything. But I did bolt outside because I wanted to see what was happening. Like an idiot. First job, whatever. You live and you learn. I go outside. I don't see any hide nor hair of them. I don't know where the hell they are. I turn the corner and I see Abraham grab his little rabbit ass by the belt. The guy's so strong. Abraham's so strong. He grabs him by the belt. The belt snaps. And the dude's little wigger pants fall down around his ankles. And now he's bare-assed. This guy's bare-assed and falls on the ground. And I'm looking back real quick to see what the hell's going on. Are there other security guards? Are there cops? Whatever. I turn back to the scene and all I see is this 7-foot Sudanese guy stomping the shit out of Eminem. It was like Steve Austin stomping Mr. McMahon. It was, I will never forget it as long as I live. It was fantastic. But that story from Asmongold made me think of that. Oh, I'm sure you have great shoplifting stories from GameStop as well, but that was my favorite.
Another day.
Yes. God bless Abraham. By the way, I cooked for him because of that. I was like, I love to cook Italian food. And like the next day, I brought in a great big dish of manicotti. It was homemade manicotti. I'm like, hey, this is for you, dude. And he loved it because he freaking saved the day. We got all those CDs back, man.
Nice.
Yes. All right. Let's see here. You can tell it's summer because the old white women are out protesting Trump. I played some Marty Robbins for them. I wonder what song, huh? You see that more of the old U.S. aid workers are still unemployed and have blown through most of their savings. I'm sure if they ever bring back the Secret Service old and young King Brady series, they can take down the SPLC. The soldier's mistake was not getting elected to Congress before engaging in insider trading. Had he done that first, he'd be off the hook. I hear that. All right. Bring back 70s green street lights. I agree. If anyone knows the turd burglar at the IRS who decided not to tell anyone that stopped mailing refund checks, I just want to talk to him. Guys, can I confide? I got like a $3,000 refund a few years ago, and I'm still hounding the IRS to get it back. They still have not mailed it to me. It's from like 2 years ago. When you owe them money, you'll hear about it. When they owe you money, good luck. Honeymoon to Japan. Next to our capsule hotel was a place that was literally unattended. You walk in, take what you need, and are expected to pay. Right? All right.
Japan, it might be different now. They got problems.
YouTube won't let me say what should be done to all the commies, so take this.
You mean kill all of them? Is that what he's talking about?
Right.
Is that the thing that I'm saying loudly right now?
Oh, yeah. I just realized that Hassan only exists because Stephen Crowder punked Muslims so hard that goats can't get them up anymore. I see. Best tweet is someone reversed Hassan's argument. If Hassan is act, everyone understands he's guilty of stochastic terrorism. That flips them off bad. Man, I'm very confused at that. Check dictionary. Communist, C retard. C communist. Hassan Piker, C both. Cut speed. 13% of bees. You stop that. Tyrannicized bees. Then these idiots will balk that stores close because of thieves. Dude, they absolutely do. How many different cases have we heard of? Well, shoot, they used to call it white flight. Oh, all the nice stores left. All the shopping malls closed. Yeah, because you rob them. You either lock up your criminals or lock up your society. I made a tweet in that connection a while back. What was it? Like, how about instead of locking up our goods, we lock up our criminals? Something like that. I forget what it was. African with a Christian name, you know he's boss. Well, he's a Sudanese Christian. He fled the Janjaweed, the Christian genocide in Sudan. I talked with him about it quite a bit because I was just starting internet radio and doing political commentary. I was going to school for political science. Me and Tactical Hobo were doing our thing. And so I was really getting heavily into politics at the time. And so I talked with Abraham a lot about the Sudanese genocide and used a lot of that stuff on my show, actually. White Monkey, when I worked at Dave & Buster's, I witnessed a Shaniqua try to wrestle away an ordering tablet from a white girl for getting her order wrong. My manager restrained her and she was arrested. It was funny. Godspeed. That's great. When God didn't stop Abraham from maiming the child. All right. Joker, I'm crazy enough to take on Batman, but the IRS? No, thank you.
I love that episode. That's funny.
It's not about the money.
It's about sending a message.
Yes. You know you don't have to pay taxes. I heard it from Wesley Snipes. I'd swear I heard G. Gordon Liddy make a joke about SPLC paying the Klan in the 90s. I know I heard Rush question their motives. Dude, people have talked about it for years. This is not new. This is long overdue, truthfully. But you know what? It is a conservative wish list item that is in the process of being crossed off. The big thing that I lament right now is I can understand you having an issue with Trump or the administration or the imperfect implementation of this thing or that thing, but so many wish list items have already been crossed off and they just get memory hold. People have the long-term memory of a goldfish when it comes to politics right now, and it sucks because it's like Trump can never really bank political capital with them. It's why I hasten to emphasize that in the first week of both his first term and his second term, dude, he went on a mad dash of signing a shitload of executive orders and even getting a fair few laws passed and pretty much crossed off most of his agenda, week 1, month 1. And people just forget about it because it happened so early on. SPLC, we got paid to fake racism. ADL Media Matters et al. Side eyes. Actual racists. Wait, you got paid for racism? I remember how the government and media went after militias back in the 90s. Yeah, I talked about it in a number of videos. Out here in Arizona, the big one was the Viper Militia, which was a gigantic honeypot. Pretty much all those guys were... they essentially had an FBI informant who was the only guy in the group who was making terrorist threats. And so... they kept telling him to leave, and he wouldn't leave. And it was a whole story back in the 90s. I talked about it in a number of different videos. Big Mike, I always found it odd that after Charlottesville, there were no more Unite the Right rallies, despite there being far more egregious flashpoints besides tearing down a statue of Robert E. Lee. Now we know why. Exactly. Do you guys have a favorite feel-good, happy song? No matter what, just a song that puts you in a good mood? I don't know. Taryn?
Well, let me look at my playlist real quick. Let me see if something pops up.
That Marty Robbins anti-communist song kind of does it for me.
Yeah, it's an oldie but a goodie.
Yeah.
Oh.
Commando by the Ramones. The leader of an anti-racism org that actually funds political tension in the U.S. to support commie policy is Chinese. What a twist.
Don't stop believing. That's a good one.
So, guys, I need your hot take on Pragmata. Is it military-grade Chimo bait? Chimo? I don't know what that... Oh, I see. Or Capcom's answer to... I don't know your internet lingo. Or Capcom's answer to declining birth rates and end-stage feminism. Was it made by a Japanese studio at Capcom? Because it seems to me, I think the kid in the game, my impression when I first saw it was, there's kind of a cutesy kid genre in Japan. My sense was it's kind of mixing that with an action-y game. It's like kind of that was my sense of it. Do you have a take on that, Aaron?
Sorry, I was reading songs. What was the take?
What's your hot take on Pragmata? What do you think it is?
I mean, it's sending a good message. It's sending a good message to women and young men and women.
I'm more excited about Onimusha personally. I'm more excited.
Yeah, actually, I am too. Yeah, when I saw gameplay for Pragmata, look, it's gonna scratch somebody's itch, but honestly, I looked at it. It just wasn't my thing. I appreciate that it exists, though.
Have you considered streaming Mouse P? Yeah, maybe I will. I got a gift copy from, I think, Mercenary X a while back, so maybe I will.
Yeah, we had a couple of games in mind.
Charlie Moto predicted this. Who did what? All these problems, the Middle East, the end of the world, Kirkstadamus. Again, pattern recognition. Listen to Hassan Piker talk there. And he's cruising right past obvious patterns created by socialist policies over these. Some people could drop LSD in the wallpaper department at Home Depot and still not see a pattern. And Hassan Piker is proof of it. Regarding the Iran war, do you guys think boots on the ground is inevitable, or do you think the infighting in the IRGC will lead to an uprising? There's been little mini uprisings in Iran. The question is if they get organized. I do not think boots on the ground is absolutely necessary. I definitely do not think it is a guarantee that we're going to have boots on the ground. If we put boots on the ground, I wouldn't support it unless Trump requests a declaration of war and attains a declaration of war from Congress. And I've said that consistently since all this popped off. Thoughts on the various state and now federal operating system age validation laws? Seems like step one to digital IDs to access the web. This, I got to be honest, this strikes me as a little bit of a nothing burger, only because I grew up in the 90s, man. In 90s internet, anything that had anything remotely mature on it, whether it was violent content or R-rated movies or porn or whatever, always had an age gate on it. And at some point in like the mid 2000s or something, those just gradually vanished. To me, this is just kind of returning to the original status quo. I do not see this as the first step to mass censorship.
The European Union is pushing hard for it, and so is the UK.
Okay, never mind. I recant everything I just said. If the European Union is pushing it, I oppose it unequivocally.
No, it is what they want specifically is horrific, but I don't actually think it'll work. There's just too many ways to get around it.
The toothpaste is not going back in the tube. If information is still getting out of Iran with the internet shut down physically, dude, no, you're not. That toothpaste is not going back in the tube.
Yeah.
My favorite anti-communist book is Grapes of Wrath. The Soviets banned it since the capitalist poor can afford a car and gas to drive it. Evening, gentlemen. James O'Keefe just said on X his office was raided and all guns confiscated by local police. And who did the animation in your new opening? That was John Sullivan.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that. That was awesome.
Yeah, John Sullivan. It's just little bits. He's working on a longer form thing for, I think, my rants, but I used a few clips he showed me and cobbled together a new intro. So I hope you guys liked it. Okay. If you want to see Absolute Madness, Pragmata discussion page on Steam. Gabe Newell, why YouTube Super Chat blocking that? Gabe Newell? Really? Gabe Newell's blocked?
It's weird.
That's an impressive physical feat, if nothing else.
I
have some relatives who think that God won't let us make it to the moon. Got any Bible verses to disprove this notion?
We've been there like what?
What in the world? I don't think that any Bible verses to disprove that. No, reality is it disproves this notion, and reality is reflected in the Bible. Why wouldn't it be? I think you kind of have a false frame of both scripture and its relationship to reality a little bit there. A lot of the men with the lollipop hats are missing. I don't know what that's a reference to. Who should be next after the SPLC collapse? Who should be investigated next, you mean?
We've already talked about a couple, the ADL and ALCU.
Anyone connected to Soros PAC and Neville Singham.
Yeah.
Because if SPLC was doing the dirt, there's no way they weren't doing the dirt. I mean, again, we just talked about pattern recognition. All those No Kings rallies, so many of those Antifa demonstrations that turned immediately violent. How many of those had those U-Hauls turned up with the pre-printed signage and, oh, look, a pallet of bricks right in front of a public building?
A couple just got mentioned in the chat. Act Blue, the NAACP.
I think they just announced that, actually. They're looking into Act Blue. Not a moment too soon. I like the initial agreement Trump did with Iran. We get the top half of the sea, and Iran gets the bottom half. Yeah, there you go. I say we return to the mean. Thoughts on Dan Bilzerian running for Congress? Next one. I remember Rush and Savage exposing SPLC. Yes, absolutely. Michael Savage, dude, they took aim at Michael Savage very early on. I remember the SPLC website had like a audio bank. Like they literally had a library of audio clips of Michael Savage saying things that they construed to be racist or defamatory, or they went after him for years. Since some of the SPLC sponsored events got people killed, does that mean they catch terrorism charges, or is that more of a civil liability thing? It's a good question. That was kind of what I referred to earlier, is you can't, when he said 3 million, you can't even measure this in monetary cost because people died and other people are serving life in prison. Their life has been stolen away in a different sense. I live in Tennessee. We just passed a bill allowing deadly force to protect property. You just got castle doctrine? It's headed to the governor. I had no idea you guys did not have castle doctrine until now. But good on you. All right. Anyone else watching Rooster Fighter? I don't know what that is.
Oh, I think I've seen clips on X. It's the one. It's the anime about the chicken or something.
Oh, thanks for your time. Have a great stream. Have to go. Godspeed. The Hoover Building can become a women's clothing store. So an easy conversion. Yeah. It can transition, as it were. Did you guys see the trailers for the remake of Assassin's Creed Black Flag? If so, thoughts? I hate that game as an Assassin's Creed game, and I love it as a pirate game.
I've seen it.
I'm not really a fan. Go watch our review, actually. It's one of my favorite reviews.
The new engine has new models and textures, which look really good, but they borked the lighting, so the lighting just looks terrible in the cutscenes.
Yeah. Godspeed, bro. Favorite non-Western movie set in the Old West? Mine's got to be Mark Twain's Roughing It miniseries by Hallmark. Ooh, Last Man Standing with Bruce Willis. It's kind of a Red Harvest. It's almost like an unofficial adaptation of Dashiell Hammett's Red Harvest, but it's sort of in the Old West in the early 20s, and it's kind of a gangster fight. It's really interesting, but it's in a Western kind of dusty town and stuff. Really cool movie. Very underrated Bruce Willis movie. Thoughts on Justice Roberts being investigated for millions of kickback payola and hundreds of corrupt SCOTUS judges just as the administration started dropping DeSantis' name for potential SCOTUS? Does that explain? That answer your question? I had not heard that, actually. That's news to me. Well, you're telling me that for the first time. Been getting back into Thief recently. I just got it working on Linux. Wow. I've never gotten it working on. You guys should stream it again. Also, do you think it will get a remaster? I hope so. You know, the problem. Yeah, the only reason I would say it maybe won't is because that Thief VR thing probably bombed. Because it looked like a piece of shit. Like, we never did stream it. We really need. I just haven't hooked up my VR in a while. Whenever I do, we will stream Thief VR. But they said they wanted to make a new Thief game, and then the first thing they make is a shitty VR title based on the 2014 game, which everyone hates. I can't imagine a worse way to bring back the Thief IP. So if that did badly enough, maybe you don't get a remaster. But I think a remaster would sell. A remastered trilogy would sell even better. Virginia's vote proved democracy is terrible and won't secure rights. Courts blocking it because it broke at least 5 laws proves a constitutional republic works. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Read the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers for a more detailed elucidation on that topic. I recommended your MJ videos on a larger channel channel live that was reviewing Michael tonight. Conversation got spicy. One on the panel had seen you and agreed. Oh, Godspeed. SLC is now safe blue with redistricting. Utah next. Salt Lake City, you mean?
Yeah.
Pray for my successful move from Utah to Texas, please. I want to move away from the cult to Waco. No cults there. Not anymore, anyway. Well, ashes to ashes. Music mythos on Disturbed. Go to hell. I would love an Iran war video just for posterity and a way to point to my David Mueller simping aunt why she is utterly wrong. It is beginning to feel kind of like when I did my copyright and public domain video, which I just knew it was going to get shit on because it's not a popular position. But when I dropped it, I wound up being surprised by how positive the reaction was. And it wound up being a pretty popular video, and people refer back to it a lot, kind of like the Michael Jackson video. So it might be one of those videos that needs to be made just to sort of go on the record. Fortunately, we do have a video where we reacted live to the Iran war as it was breaking. So you kind of do get my thoughts in that anyways. Act Blue is the biggest Democrat money scam ever to exist. Oh, it's the biggest Democrat money scam ever to exist that you're aware of. Black Flag, why play that? Windrose just dropped. Dude, I've been seeing a bunch of people streaming that, and it looks pretty good. It's Pirate Conan Exiles, but the crafting isn't obnoxious. Would recommend. Also, Marauders lives. Yes, Marauders is back, and Conan Exiles is getting an engine upgrade.
I was going to point that out. They're upgrading to Unreal 5.
Yes. Are we getting more Hot Porkins action tomorrow? I could not take it, folks. I could not handle it. Pull up. No, I'm all right. Oh, it's fun. Maybe we'll do another flight sim. I love streaming space sims, and I need to continue my Wing Commander 3 playthrough. Why do these other folk keep calling the Hoyts evil when we displayed the rare kindness of actually leaving some people living to complain later, right? Old Asian women, what about younger? Looks around. Good. No wife around. I'm safe. She's playing Skyrim. The tongue click of death is real. Wow. Have you had her lip de-disked yet? No.
Yeah.
All right.
Use it as a jumping rope.
Yes. You do not be doing the understandings. I be doing the graduatings from the University of Mumbai. I can be doing the medicals for you. But the systemic structures of systemic structural systems. 97% of all the meaningless commie babbling ever. Isn't it funny how, and I say this as someone with a long and celebrated history of doing exactly that, but isn't it hysterical how commies, if they could just say the word black, they'll say the word atramentus instead, or the more syllables they can add to a word to make themselves sound more scientific and qualified on the subject, while in fact being utterly fucking clueless. They will always do it every single time. It's like word salad, the ideology. Just play Privateer already, Razor, so we can finish. Godspeed. I do love Privateer, although I suck at. I've always sucked at Privateer. I love the game, though. I've always loved it. Saw this Pragmata game and thought it was neat. The left's response was the bizarre thing. They accused people of being PDF files. Are they deranged? Yes. Yes, they are. You know what it also reminds me of, Pragmata? I didn't make this connection, but it's like a little girl, instead of a little boy, it's a little girl version of A Plague Tale, Innocence.
Yeah.
Or A Plague Tale, Requiem. I mean, was that a pedo simulator because you had the little boy tagging around with you? You know what I mean? It's stupid. Of course, it was a brother and sister, but you know what I mean. Plus, you had two little boys palling around with you in that game. Ooh, that was doubly freakish. It's just stupid. They want to make a mountain out of a molehill. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Did you see Trump retweet/retruth that really long post about how bad a country India is? It was featured on Indian news, and you had people interviewed actually bawl like total losers. But at least they have a moist substance to bathe with, finally. Have you seen Ice make a Pokemon music video? No. The digital ID stuff is being pushed by Zuckerberg so he can sell ads to people and not bots. He's lobbied millions to 45 states. Look it up. Okay. Godspeed. There's a record of Lodos War Metroidvania called Deedlit. Yes. We streamed it. Actually, we streamed it pre-release, if you remember.
Mm-hmm.
We got the earliest version and streamed it. Most overrated game that you still like.
Overrated?
Halo 2, maybe. I'm not a big shooter guy, but I always liked the first 3 Halo games. They're okay. Halo 2 but Halo 2 multiplayer was so much fun. It was. And that's probably what carries it through. What about you, Taryn? Most overrated game that you still like?
Oh, God. Hold on. I'm quickly looking at my Steam library.
Oh, my gosh.
Hunt Showdown. No. First thing that came
Are you
up.
looking forward to the new Ace Combat? Always.
I am. Oh, you weren't asking me. Sorry, you were reading a super chat.
No one's asking you. No, I'm just kidding. Overrated game that you still like?
Resident Evil. I still play Resident Evil games.
Resident Evil 1?
Yeah, sure.
If anything, that's underrated. If anything, 4 is overrated. 4 has always been overrated and had It had a really bad influence on Resident Evil games and a lot of games in general with the quick time events and the over-the-shoulder third-person shooting and the whole thing.
You want to know the most fucked up thing? I bought the Resident Evil 4 remake when it came out. I still haven't played it.
Really? It's good.
Yeah.
It's actually good. I do think it's a little superfluous because Resident Evil 4 has aged pretty well. Like
it's good on its own. Yes,
I didn't think it really needed much of a tune-up, to be honest. 4 was already fine, which is kind of cool because you can go back and play 4 and it still holds up. You know what I mean? All right. Are you looking forward to it as well, Tarrant? That was not necessary to send, but Godspeed and thank you. He did say he was looking forward to it. I can't find the Deedlit stream anymore. Re-upload. Yeah, maybe we can put it up on the VOD. That's probably... So for those who don't know, one of the reasons we have to put our streams on private afterward is they throttle the shit out of your channel every time you live stream. So we opened a VOD channel so we can move our streams over there so it doesn't affect our main channel and whatever. So, all right. Communism comes in through the back door. Thanks for that creepy wink. Is there any Rumble rants before we get the hell out of here?
Several. Mercenary X, if you don't think Trump is a tactical and strategic genius, I have a bridge to sell you. And if you don't think everything Trump has done is plant out like a chess master, I have a second bridge.
I don't know about that.
Erica Kirk should end the SPLC with a civil lawsuit.
Ooh.
And also, is anyone surprised the left was paying the Klan? After all, they founded the Klan.
Yeah. Oh, here's one that is relevant. Please God, dust off the PS4 and play Sly Cooper. Funny you should mention that. I have a copy of a Sly Cooper game, and I can stream it. I absolutely can. So that may happen in the near future.
S. Fisher, how many on the Sperg-Right are being paid by the SPLC?
How many on the Sperg-Right? Not that many, but they were in key positions. And we can deduce this from the testimony of people with firsthand experience, like Gavin McInnes and so forth, who actually dealt with the encroachment of SPLC on what we called at that time the alt-right, right? Because now it's just Sperg-Right. It's whatever the hell, Groiper, whatever nonsense, right? It's kind of taken on a slightly different form. But
Monty, this kind of crap goes way back. Every reformist movement was stymied by Nazis showing up to rallies in full swastika gear and pretending to be part of it just to poison the well.
The same kind of thing happened with the Tea Party, if you remember. Tea Party started out as like literally protesting high taxation and shit. In fact, the first Tea Party, in terms of the modern Tea Party movement, was held at the state capitol here in Phoenix. It was like a local radio station. I remember them hyping it up and everything, and everybody showed up, and they literally served tea. That was the whole gimmick. They served tea down at the state capitol in downtown Phoenix, And they had some speakers, and it was a rally at the same time. And it was so effective that they started holding tea parties in different cities. And then it became the Tea Party and became a whole movement. And then the bad actors started to infiltrate little by little. Same thing happened. It always happens. Someone always finds a way to poison the well. Those who doubt me, suck cock by choice. All right. I know you like Michael Moorcock, but what's your thoughts on Cordwainer Smith, Zelazny, and other new wave sci-fi authors? Roger Zelazny has been recommended me so many times, and I have not given him a try. I really need to. Really, really need to. RE4, Uncharted, and Souls cause inspirational damage. I don't know. Oh, I see what you mean. Any chance of RE9 tomorrow? Probably not. Keep going. Is there any more?
Yeah. S. Fisher, you see MTG implying that Trump faked the assassination attempt on him.
Oh, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Absolutely. I said on social media, and I stand by this, Trump's superpower is getting out ahead of having the capacity to recognize when someone is folding their steel chair slowly and eyeballing the back of your head, getting ready for their WWE heel turn months before they actually do it, and calling them out, getting them to go mask off in front of the whole. It is a superpower, guys. He's done it so many fucking times. So many times. And that is just the latest operative example of it. What a fucking retard, Marjorie Taylor Greene. I remember when Barnes was running interference for her. And I was just like, dude, she was polling under 12% before that. Any political damage she has suffered has nothing to do with Trump. It's all her. And that was before the feud with Trump. She was 12% or lower in her district. She didn't resign because she can't countenance the Trump movement or MAGA or whatever, or because of Israel. Dude, she resigned because she was gonna lose. Period. Fucking ridiculous.
Ultros, SNK just released a massive update to City of the Wolves with UI changes and character balances. Glad SNK is getting its act together with addressing launch issues. Have you tried it out yet?
No, I have not.
Steve, Mussolini knew how to throw a real swinging party.
Yeah, kind of went upside down there toward the end.
Mercenary X, no, I was talking about Trump hinting getting rid of the IRS. S. Fisher again. Fuentard, Candy Kong, Ian, and some others deciding not to stream and going into hiding.
They
Very
all kind of
strange.
stopped at the same time. They stopped for like a 24-hour period. I think Sneeko skipped a stream, Nick skipped a stream, Ian skipped a stream. They all skipped streams the day the SPLC stuff came out. And I don't think it's because they're paid by the SPLC, by the way. I think it's because some of their, to use their terminology, rabbis in the movement, some of their mentors early on, people who gave them a nice little boost early on, probably were paid by the SPLC. Probably were. And some of them are going to have some splaining to do. Gave you an ad for the Indian News link in Discord, Taryn. Check it out. It's hilarious. A guy literally says, "We are not stinky," and cries a river.
Hold on.
Maybe he can bathe in it.
There you go, if you want to bring that up.
Oh my gosh. Let's see it.
Yeah, am I up? There we go.
It is a hellhole. It's a shithole.
Oh, not stinky, man. We are not stinky, man. It's all right. We are not stinky. I know. I am so Nepali and I am Gorakha. But
well, that's right. In fact, Trump had shared Michael Savage's 4-page letter. In fact, that had indicated India and Indian immigrants as a hellhole. And that had led to a huge controversy, both in New Delhi and Washington, D.C. Many foreign policy wonks and people who track India-US relations had said that India should in fact react to this and not take it lightly.
Of course it was Michael Savage. Godspeed, Michael. My inspiration to do all this. The good doctor, Dr. Savage. MTG spelled like aunt, but it ain't. I see what you said there. Weird question. Have you read any of the Dresden Files? And if so, any thoughts? No, I have not. That was a freaking great clip, bro. That's genius. Any more?
Rumble rants, yes.
Okay.
Matt Hammond. An estimated 1 in 75 billion event happened on this day in 1999. Fernando Tatis hit 2 grand slams off Chan Ho Park.
Fernando Tatis, but
in the same inning.
A genius. Fernando Tatis.